I did that dance, I think like a year and a half ago. Man, I was in shape back then. Wow. Welcome to season 2. Babe. Bay. And that sounds so magnificent to say. For some reason, that J Cross Bay Bay thing makes people it tickles their ivories for some reason. I don't know why. Um, a lot of shit has happened. So thank you for being on here. Um, we we were gonna do the Winged Eagle today. A lot of our promos went out. Everything had to do, the Winged Eagle. You want to make sure that it gets its due, and I couldn't do that. I could not deliver that to you guys today. I could not, because some other shit happened. Like again, I've been gone since June or May. We've been gone, and it's the same shit. It's the same. Nothing ever changes here. So tonight is Get the Strap, the AEW replica. Are you gonna buy it or are you gonna boot it? Which one? I was told that the experts had spoken and that the belt was trash. So you know me, I'm always down for a good replica. So I've heard numerous people say that it's really really good, and then a small percentage of people say that it's bad. So we're gonna figure that out tonight because I cannot just have Dan on here and do the freaking Winged Eagle. Absolutely not. We need to get to the bottom of this shit. So before we do that, I have some words, man, because I have a love and hate relationship with this community. Like you all like to say, the hobby. I have a very bad love and hate relationship with you because if it were up to me right now at the current moment that I am, the hobby would die, literally, because it's a bunch of pussies that I don't know aren't getting any pussy, and everyone's angry about something. You can't ask any question in a group without getting like trashed. It's amazing that this thing is still even fucking standing. Um, Eddie Williams turned out to be a piece of shit. Josh Hammer turned out to be a piece of shit. I could come here and tell you all everything that I felt because Hot Girl Summer was not good to me and Vinny. It really was not. Me, Vinny, Ethan, Joey, everybody except the black guy, Mike Jones, was never. Everyone was this person called Johnny NWO and was causing all kinds of shit in Dan's group, and it spilled over to us, and no proof. No proof was ever given to you. None. No proof when Eddie went on live, when Carmona was on there with him, zero proof was given. And you trashed us, man. In the comments, some of the people that are here right now saying, hey, I'm glad the show is back. We are in our Culture Shock Live. They would say, oh, we're glad you guys are back. You guys were in the comments. I remember every single person. I've blocked because I'm, me and the blocking thing. It's out of principle that I have to do it. But I'm not gonna come out here and like do this whole shebang about how angry I was. All I ask is that you guys as adults, put in the attempt to try better, to do better next time. The next time someone comes up, a charlatan, a middleman who promises you the world and gives you crap and is running scams, is stealing from people. People are starving. People can't pay their bills because of this person. And Chris Thermo that lost the belt? It baffles me that he posts how angry he is at it. And you have 6, 7, or 8 dimwits say to him, well, it's your fault for sending him the belt. How could you trust him with that belt? Why not? You guys put him on a pedestal. You guys put him he can do no wrong. He literally runs the hobby. He's one of the big names up there. Of course, some guy is going to say, well, this guy's reputable. People are saying he's great. Why wouldn't I send him my belt? And now he's screwed. So it's tough with you guys, but I have seen the good. I have experienced the good. I've experienced my best friends. I've experienced a lot of information that I would have never known about wrestling. So all I ask of you who have talked so much shit about me, who have made you shake your head like dogs, it's cool. I just, please, next time, try better, because when it's you, that shit ain't going to be fun. You know? It isn't. And the one more challenge I have is that people hold everyone to a standard. Don't let these people get away with shit because they're a name. Me, I'm a nobody. Everyone here is a nobody. No one here in this podcast has ever claimed to be the best at something. No, that's not what we do. Okay? What I can guarantee you is nobody on here is going to sell you shit. You may not like me. You may not like my friends. You may not like and who we are as persons, but we will present to you facts. Something that your idols could not do. So all I ask, again, is for you to try better. Try to be better. Do better. Now, with that being said, things are going to get a little different. A little different tonight. Normally, what we like to do is I do my little monologue here. I bring a guest on, and then after the guest, I tell you about some ad and something. But no, we're going to give you the ad now because the show has changed just for today. Because literally this show was put together probably early this afternoon. We're going to do it. But before we do, the collection, because you know everyone in this podcast, whether they admit it or not, is extra as hell. We're all extra, okay? So I want to show you the ad for the collection, limited edition clothing, thanks to Mike Jones, because you know how he is, man. Tax man just wants to make money, doesn't care about the people. Limited edition. Here's a collection. It's going to drop right after Culture Shock Live. Boom, boom. Right after Culture Shock Live, that will be dropping. And you tune into Culture Shock Live because there's going to be a promo for some percentage off. So why not save some money when a lot of you have been robbed by Josh Hammer and Eddie Williams? I'm just saying. Looking out for everybody. Peace in our time. So we're going to do things a little different tonight. We're going to normally, you know how this show goes. We're going to go back to it next month. So bear with me with this because there's been a lot of bullshit going on. Everyone knows that when I am asked about, when someone should get a new belt, where should they get their first belt? I always say go to the shop because the shop, what it does is spoils you with the plates. Everyone can agree the strap on the shop feels like shit, complete and utter shit, but it looks good. No one can tell me it doesn't look good. So we are going to have a very serious discussion. Not really. We're going to learn first from our special guest. So let me bring my panelists on. First, from the great state of California, the Democratic stronghold, Mr. Ethan Thompson.
What is up?
What is that, Judge Judy?
Hey, court's in session, bro. And, with our guest that we have, I hope he brought change because I got a 50. I'm going to buy that $40 belt. And that's what we going to do right there.
Nice. You see, you got to support the small businesses, man. I'm saying that's key right there. That's the reason. You know what? People like you is why the economy is going to come back, bro.
I'm for the people.
Facts. And here we go. Mr. Joey. Look at him. Joey's always flexing. Here's the problem with Joey. Joey's always flexing, and he does it nonchalantly. Like when he first got the PS5, he didn't tell us he got the PS5. He literally laid the control on his chest and was just waiting for somebody to say something. Joey, you look dapper as hell today, baby.
Thank you. I feel like the Dapper Don because I feel like ousting or burying some people, maybe. I don't know.
Bro, why? Let me ask you a question. It's already cold outside.
It's Friday.
Yeah, why, bro?
Why?
Why are you this way, bro?
Simple. I'm tired of people whining and complaining and moaning about little shit.
Wow.
You might as well leave the belt hobby.
Facts.
That's true, but get the strap. Nobody's safe.
So we're gonna present to you. There's a big debate on the AEW. Ethan, what have you heard from your neck of the woods?
So, from my courtroom, it's hard to hear much, but the guys that I do know that have got the belt all love the belt. I haven't really heard anybody that's got the belt say they hate the belt.
Okay.
I know a lot of people that haven't got the belt say they hate the belt. So yeah.
Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, a little wonky.
Joey.
Yes.
What have you heard on your side? Is it kind of the same thing, or have you heard something extra?
I mean, the people that I know that have got it, and I've had conversation with them, they like the belt. The only thing is they will get it re-leathered, but that's the only thing. But they love the plates. They compare it to the UFC V3. Now, there's some people that will say, oh, it's not comparable to the UFC V3, but that's one opinion.
I'll be the fucking judge of that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to compare it in a few days because somebody that I know that lives by me has the AEW and I have the UFC V3, so I will be comparing them. But I mean, the belt's fine. I look at it and it's accurate to a T. If you want a 250, we'll get into that.
Yeah, we will. So I'm just gonna, without any further ado, Dan the Man is in the house. Dan is a belt maker, has made belts for numerous promotions.
And an alleged bootlegger. He is
also the owner, if you will, or the moderator of the Belt Talk forum, where the veterans play. And the Belt Talk Facebook group, no copyrights in Dan's groups.
Yep.
I'm going to talk about that later because I have a little thing with that. So let me just bring him on right now. Mr. Dan McMahon. Dan. My lord.
Wow. This man's got a corncob pipe.
Professor Dan. Dan.
Dan, it worked.
Welcome, my friend, to Get the Strap. You have been, I'm not going to go into, hey, which is your favorite belt? People know all that shit. We're not going to do none of that. Fuck that. We know what the fuck is going on. Everyone knows so your belt that you helped get a replica for, the AEW World Championship, that you worked on, it seems that 98% of the people in this hobby think that the belt is great, right? I looked at it myself and I thought this belt was great. Hazard F5, who a lot of people like because I used to watch Hazard F5 when I was 15, thinking one day I'm going to, have those belts. This is what he said. And I quote, one of, if not the best replicas ever produced. The Rock and Undisputed replicas are some of the best WWE has put out, but the depth of the detailing in this, along with the thickness and improved stones, blow them all away. This has better art than the IWGP replicas, and these are a third of the price. If people feel it's too expensive, okay, it's out of some people's budgets. But that doesn't mean the quality of the low-end ones knocking about improve in quality because they're cheaper, laughing out loud. So many of them have been thrown up on the belt groups and eBay in recent weeks. That's one of the big, in my opinion, one of the people with a lot of knowledge. I don't go with the whole class, who's bigger than who. No, someone with a lot of knowledge, with a lot of experience in the hobby has said that about that AEW replica. I heard that you have heard different as well. Your response, my good sir.
Well, gentlemen, if you can allow me to be serious for a moment.
Sure.
Where do I start? So, I was originally going to come on this program and we were going to discuss the Winged Eagle belt, and I was really excited for it. And then what happened? Drama. Always drama. This hobby seems to thrive on drama. It seems to go cyclical with drama. But everybody here probably assumes I woke up and chose violence this morning. And I did not.
Oh.
I did not. I looked into the mirror and I had a talk with myself, and we decided that the professor is going to teach a master's class tonight. And what's going to happen tonight is I am going to make the case, and I'm going to present facts and evidence that back up my side of this argument. And if there is anyone out there that has a different opinion, put your facts together, make your argument, and then come at me. And then we can have a back and forth, grown-up conversation and discussion. Because that's what needs to happen in this hobby. There's too much of people just talking rudely and incorrectly about each other. When you take away the insults and you go right to the pure facts, then you can let the people make the decision. Who's right, who's wrong. Tonight, I might present some facts that people have never seen before.
Holy shit.
Somebody might present facts to me on the opposing side that I have not heard before. And it is up to each of us as individuals to take all of those facts, mix them around in that noodle bowl in our head, and then come to an informed decision. I am not here to say everyone who agrees with me is awesome and everyone who disagrees with me is wrong. I am here to simply provide where I am coming from as a collector, as somebody who had a firsthand experience in the creation of this replica. So many people would say I am biased. And when it comes to the AEW belt, yes, there is a part of bias to it because it is a project that I put a lot of myself into. But as part of today's little session, we are going to learn how a replica belt is made from step one until the day it arrives in the box and you open it up. There are a lot of people who will be learning a lot of new things today. And hopefully by the end of this, if you love me, if you hate me, the one thing you will take away is this from this session is you will have a greater appreciation for everything that goes into the mass production of these belts, regardless if it's from AEW or WWE or Impact or whomever is making these belts. And you guys should hopefully understand that it's a lot easier said than done. So when a company does decide to go in the legitimate mass-produced replica route, it's very important that the consumers who are fans of the product purchase the legal authorized copies of the work, because that sends a strong message to the company financially that, hey, if we invest a little bit of time, a little bit of money into this, it's worth it for us. Otherwise, you're just going to continue to get shut out, and your only avenue to own copies of certain belts is going to be boots. So we will get into that.
So now Dan has brought in his own. Look at this.
I brought my own slide deck. I came prepared. I did not bring my laser pointer. My cat got it.
I gotta put on my glasses, bro. I can't see shit. Go ahead. Getting old. Sorry, Dan.
Yes. Okay. Just, there is going to be some. Hey, go back. Don't touch my deck. Hands off my deck. So.
Go ahead, Dan.
if I got to the nuts and bolts of this would be boring. So I tried to liven this up a little bit. I added a little humor in this. All right. I'm not here to attack anyone. I think everyone is pretty much expecting me to put the fangs out and go after Carmine. No, I'm not going to go after Carmine as a person. Me and Carmine take little stabs at each other all the time. I think it's in good fun. He can take it. I can take it. We're both big boys. What we do have is a difference of opinion. And there was something specifically he said in regarding to this belt that really struck a chord with me. And even if he said it in jest, and even if he was saying it just to be controversial, you know, if he doesn't even believe it himself, that's fine. But it's along the lines of what many people will say, where they don't understand why a certain belt is priced a certain way. So hopefully we get into the how and the why and everything that goes into making it, and then you can start understanding why a belt might cost so much. All right, everything here tonight is in jest, is in fun. We're having fun. We're enjoying the hobby. All right, I'm not here to make any personal attacks against anyone, even Carmine. Okay. Now, if anyone out there feels like I'm being a little bit too rough, or if I'm making a little bit too serious digs at people, let me know. I will ease up. All right, that's not what this is for. This is supposed to be an educational session. Okay, so you got my corncob pipe. I brushed my hair. I got my Professor cardigan with my padded elbows.
Nice.
Because this is something that a lot of people don't know what's going on with. How does this happen? And over the last 2 years being involved in this project, you know, it's opened my eyes to things. I learned stuff I didn't know. I learned stuff every day. And that goes for everyone in this hobby. When you think you know everything, things are going to change, going to flip you upside down, and you're going to realize you don't know anything. So if we can go back to the previous slide, do I have control of this, or are you just going to like click through?
Hey, if you have the controls, you go ahead.
All right, I do have that. Awesome.
Nice.
Okay.
Hey.
Here we go. So this is the AEW replica belt from here to there and everywhere in between. I'm your presentator this evening. I'm Professor Dan Belzer. I'm a master's and doctorate in real and replica bootleg belt sales. I'm the graduating member of the Belt Talk class of 2008. If you name them, I have studied under them. So let's just say I am legit. If anyone wants to verify any of the credentials herefore mentioned, please contact Rusty Miller. Okay, so let's break it down. Okay, what makes a good replica belt? When you want a belt, what you want is a copy of the belt that you saw on TV or the belt that you saw defended in person. You want something that resembles it, that looks exactly like you remember, but at the same time, you need to have the right mix of accuracy, of price, and at the end of the day, it is a business. So you need that mass market appeal. That way you can sell as many items as possible. All right. If any company, well, you've seen with New Japan will sell their replicas for $2,000 plus. All right. They're trying to create that false sense of exclusivity. Many luxury brand items do that. Rolex watches, your high-end cars, your shoes, Prada, your handbags, Gucci, all that. When you break it down at the end of the day, many of those top-tier luxury items are around the same make and quality of items that do cost a fraction of the price. I'm not here to dissuade you from that. So, for example, the AEW belt we're talking about tonight is a $600, $700 replica belt that is made of the same, if not better, quality materials than that $2,500 New Japan replica, than that $750 NWA Dome Globe, that $850 UFC Legacy belt, that $1,400, $2,000, $2,500 WWE Elite Series, TV Series, Elite TV Series. All right. And as we get on with these slides, if any of the hosts want me to stop and speak a little bit longer about a certain point, let me know. Because again, there might be things that I might have glossed over that people might not be familiar with. So I apologize ahead of time if I go too fast. Going too fast, let me know. If you want to break down.
Interject as you will, gentlemen.
Yes. You guys are here. This is where we all come together and learn and make everybody a smarter belt collector.
Yes.
Okay. So now the other way, we have a general understanding of what we are all looking for and what makes a good replica. Okay. The AEW replica, the second prototype, was approved earlier in 2021. A copy of that belt was releathered by Ron Edwardson and was used on AEW television by Kenny Omega for the majority of his 2021 championship run. At that time, Kenny was doing a belt collector gimmick where he had the AAA championship and the Impact and TNA championship. So Kenny was carrying around 4 belts at a time. And for anyone if you brought a belt to a show, just one, you know that they can be a pain in the ass to carry around. So imagine carrying 4 belts around with you, from TV shows to TV tapings to the airport to the hotel to all of that other stuff. Okay. So if you had the chance to lighten up, the real AEW Milliken belt is a 16-pound belt. The replica belt is just under 10 pounds. So if you can lighten up 6 pounds of load, that is a tremendous savings in weight that will help you with all of your travels and all of the use on television.
And airline fees too, because the airlines, if you're over a pound,
right,
it's like $100 and something. So
right.
Fuck that.
Right, and the wrestlers are very smart. Most wrestlers will only bring a carry-on. They will not do anything they will not check luggage. If it doesn't fit your carry-on, they will not bring it. With AEW, I think AEW was carrying some belts, and then Kenny was taking some other belts. Not 100% sure. I'm not going to pretend I know, but just in general. Okay. So many people didn't realize Kenny was using the replica on TV. All right. When that first happened, I knew right away. I didn't say anything. A couple of people who were very observant probably noticed that the big scratch on the AEW logo on the main plate wasn't there. And there was a few other tells, such as having a stone that the real belt does not have in the diamond. So a few questions started slowly coming in saying, hey, did AEW get a new belt? Or is that the replica? And a couple of people right away called it out. And then as more and more pictures, more and more use, people started saying, hey, that's a replica. And yes, we were able to get confirmation. Wow. And it was the re-leathered replica.
So there's more people out there like Joe Vitanza that picks out that shit out of nowhere. Like, what the hell?
Right. And like there's new people who are like, how do I know this? How do I know that? It comes with time. It's like any other hobby, any other thing that you're into. The more you surround yourself with it, you know, if you're big into sneakers, how do you tell a bootleg Jordan from a real Jordan? Well, if you're around enough real ones, you're going to start noticing the little tells. You're going to start noticing the finer details and have appreciation of the actual craftsmanship to know what to look for into telling what's a fake and from the authentic.
So, Joe,
I wanted to ask Dan, how many different AEW belts were used on TV? Because some people say, oh, this design was different from a V1 to a V2. Like, how many?
Well, from what I understand, the original Milliken belt, after Jericho misplaced it at the steakhouse, they ordered a second one, but I do not believe that belt ever was used on television. I believe the original Milliken belt at one point was re-leathered by Ron, which is why it might have had a different look. And I do believe Ron cleaned it up when he had it. So that could explain some of the differences where people might have thought it was a new belt.
Yeah.
There was a time where when the replica was being used, The Milliken belt was, polished and cleaned up, and the gold in the, I guess you'd call it that texturized filigree was restored.
So it's just the Milliken and the replica. The original Milliken, when AEW first introduced it, and the replica were the only two versions ever used on
As
TV.
far as I'm aware.
Okay.
I do know that there is a second Milliken. I don't know if they might have swapped it out on TV at any time. I don't know if Ron made them one. That I am not privy to all the information, so I would leave that up to if Ron wants to confirm. He'll, just like any belt maker knows, they'll pick out their stuff on TV. So
yeah.
You can ask Ron that, and he'll say, "Oh yeah, they used this one this time, this one that time."
Yeah.
I don't know the answer. I'll say I won't know the answer. Okay. Fair enough.
Very nice.
All right. What was that?
AEW Championship. Wait, hey. Okay, yeah. Hey. That looks nice, man.
Okay.
Talk to me, then.
The top belt is the Milliken. The bottom belt is the replica.
Oh, shit.
Oh, shit. They look identical.
Well, if you start looking at the strap, the leather gives it away.
The strap, yeah, the leather.
And then when
gives
your
it away.
eyes start going up and down, you can start seeing the differences.
Yeah.
And the curve.
Okay. So what we're looking at.
Holy shit.
So what sticks out to me right off of the bat is the thickness of the real belt. And then this is where we're going to start getting into the intricacies of it. Look at the AEW logo on the two side plates. Look at the shadow below the AEW logo. That is because those relief pieces are 4 millimeters thick. Per the original Milliken artwork, the relief pieces are only supposed to be 2 millimeters thick. The replica follows the original artwork to a T. Now, don't ask me why the Milliken has all the pieces that's 4 millimeter thick. I don't know. Okay, but look at this picture. It took many people a while to figure out which one is which. So let's go back to our slide. What makes a good replica? Okay. Did that replica belt look exactly like the belt that's used on TV?
The plates look crazy.
Okay. So what we have is an affordable version of the belt that was used on TV that most people couldn't tell the difference from. All right. The plates sizes are exactly the same. The difference is the thickness of the plates. The replica is honest and true to the specs of the original artwork, whereas the real belt used 4 millimeter thick plates on each layer. So with the side plates being 3 layers and the main plate being 4 layers thick, your main plate is 16 millimeters thick at the highest point, where on the replica is true at 10 millimeter thick. All right. So from my standpoint, and from what hopefully many people figure, is that the replica belt, the mass-produced replica, is a very close copy of the belt being used on TV.
A replica.
Right. So that we would say that's a good replica. I think we can agree on that. All right.
I agree.
Now, the nitpicking and what people don't like about it, that is opinion. Everybody's opinion is different. I'm going to make the argument here to hopefully change people's opinion, because a lot of people shit on this belt, not because it doesn't look like the belt on TV, but because they just don't like the belt to begin with. All right. Some people don't like the belt. Some people say it looks like cookie cutter Rico work. Somebody called it a pancake platter the other day.
Nice.
All right. So I don't want to talk about aesthetics. Is this a good belt? Is it a good looking belt? Is it a bad looking belt? A good replica, affordable copy of the belt on TV. I just showed you the real belt and the replica side by side, and most of the people watching this wouldn't have known which one was which unless they waited for me to tell them. So in my point, the replica is a very close copy of the belt. So there are valid criticisms of this replica belt. Okay, so excuse me.
Bless you.
Yes. First thing people will always complain about on a replica belt is the stiff strap. Okay, it is slightly thicker. It is a stiffer strap, and with these mass-produced belts, you need it. Okay,
You're lucky in we're lucky in what we get.
Right. Now, you got to understand, you're going to be selling hundreds, thousands of these. The vast majority of these replica belts are going to sit on somebody's shelf. They are not going to be touched. They are not going to be handled. We, as the high-end belt enthusiasts, we are the ones that know that these pleather, cardboard, whatever you want to call them, straps, they're not good enough to our standards. We are a minority. All right, so that has to be kept in mind. People say, oh, I'm paying $700 for a replica belt. It needs to have real leather. No. If you can find someone or some type of manufacturing company that can hand tool hundreds or thousands of straps, be my guest. I don't have all the answers. If people out there who are so critical of this, if they can provide solutions to these problems, help me out. I have no problem utilizing the resources of this community to offer better quality products. Okay. So we talked about the real belt being a 16-pound belt. The replica belt weighs 9 pounds, 10 ounces. Okay. And it is also a very large belt. So you need a thicker and stiffer strap in order to hold and support the weight of the plates. All right. So let's look right here at this AEW replica. That is a belt that is snapped up and it is supported right on the strap. I do not have a belt stand underneath it. Okay. That is how 95% of the people who purchase this belt is going to display it.
Yeah.
Okay. So what that strap does is it holds the plates and it displays them. If you want a real leather strap, if you want a less stiff vinyl strap, what's going to happen is the weight of the plates are going to fold the strap and you're not going to be able to display it like this. In which case you will need an acrylic belt stand such as the fine quality ones sold over at beltsbydan.com. But it is not the shameless shilling and self-promotion portion of the slideshow yet. We will get to that later.
I'll allow it.
But you see the point I'm making, okay?
Correct.
Next point, casted plates versus a solid plate that is stacked and layered. All right?
You see, let me interrupt real quick, Dan. This is the issue I have with the people saying that is hollowed out, a hollowed out replica. When I first purchased the current United States Championship, I took it apart and I took a picture of it and put it out in the groups.
Right.
People went crazy because it was hollow. My question is, how much? Just to clear it up here with you who deal with belts all the time, that's your business. How much would it weigh to get a solid piece of pure zinc of that current United States Championship? And what kind of belt is needed to hold that up, since they want to rag on it because it's hollow?
The U.S. belt, the real belt, is hollow as well. It's that United States belt was made with this new process that I had to educate myself on, where it's powdered metal that then a laser comes over and it hardens it, and almost like a
3D printer. It's essentially 3D printed.
It's like a metal 3D printer.
Yeah.
Okay, so that belt on TV is hollow. The replica of that belt, again, if they re-leather that and put it on TV, you wouldn't know which one is which. If that belt was solid, I could easily see that being 30, 35 pounds.
Whew.
Just because of how thick it is. Anyone out there, if you have that United States belt, the new one, measure how thick it is from the top to the bottom. Somebody said it's something ridiculous. Somebody said it was like 18 millimeter thick.
Jesus.
It's ridiculous. So you can put that type of weight on a 10-ounce leather strap, and it would hold it. But over time, leather is an organic material. With use and wear, the fibers will break down, and it'll sag like any other belt. Okay, when leather craftsmen and saddle makers, when they make saddles or they make chaps for bull riders, it needs to be a tough and durable cut of leather to withstand all of the abuse it's going to take. So that's the type of leather you would be using on these heavier belts compared to maybe a European style finish of veg tan leather that has that soft buttery feel that many of the collectors like. If you tried putting a heavy belt on that right out of the gate, the thing will never stand on its own feet.
I'm 100% surprised that somebody in this hobby hasn't filled their United States title with Will Weight yet.
They have.
And I mean filled it. No, I mean filled it like to the brim.
Be careful what you ask for.
I'm challenging somebody. Honestly, I'm challenging somebody. Somebody fill your belt with Will Weights.
Right.
Joey, you know the difference between something that's real and something that's a replica, right? Like I don't. It's Dan said this the other day. He said no one wants a 16-pound replica. It's a replica. That's what it's supposed to be. When you buy the replica of Harry Potter's broomstick, you're not gonna go flying into the air, man. It's not real wood. It's plastic. Right. It's not. I was joking with the flying in the air, but it is a replica of the product that you saw on TV. It looks good. The plates are hollowed, yes. And again, a lot of people say, the belt, the leather's trash on the shop belts. Me, once I put a belt away, I take it out once a month to clean it. I don't grab it. I don't go gallivanting with it. They just go there. They look good. They feel horrible, yes, but it is a replica.
Yeah. I'm waiting until we get to the price because I got a question to ask.
Right. And again, what we're going to keep going back to, a repeating theme, is mass market appeal. We're a minority. Like, we're not what these are being marketed towards. You want to sell somebody a belt that comes to the show that was like, I just saw this wrestling event live, and you want them to make that impulse purchase. You're not going after your diehards. Your diehards are going to buy it no matter what. WWE treats their diehards like shit, and they still watch the product every week for the last 20 years. Those people are always going to be there. All right. We as the diehard belt collectors are probably always going to buy the belt. What needs to happen for these companies to continue to do this is make that mass market appeal. That's why certain things are the way they are. You're never going to get a one-off copy of what's on TV for a mass market belt. It's not going to happen. There's always going to be compromises. Okay. So
hold on. The shop did come close one time. And this was what I was going to bring up. The Master Series. We were going to talk about the Winged Eagle, but the figures ain't.
Master Series plates were thicker than a real Reggie. The strap was still the same strap. What they did is they used a vinyl leather hybrid. So basically, if anyone does like woodwork, if you need to fill a hole with wood, they'll take sawdust, mix it with wood glue, make a little putty out of it, put it in the hole, and then sand it flush. The Master Series straps is like ground up leather fibers, glue, and PVC vinyl, and then it's extruded, made flat, and stamped. So they tried doing that. They called it leather. It's not leather. So that, I do agree, that is probably one of the best attempts they have made at doing a mass-produced strap. But even then, the stamping and the detail.
But strap and plates, because plates wise, if you compare apples to apples, if you look at the current shop dual plated and you look at the Master Series plates, I mean the shop is more clip arty versus the Master Series was just phenomenal.
If you strip the Master Series and plated it, it would be on par with a real Reggie belt. The plates are actually deeper etched and thicker than a Reggie belt.
I'm gonna put that on my list. I want a Master Series IC and Winged Eagle.
Master Series IC, Series IC, and Winged Eagle. It is interesting to note that the Master Series ECW Big Silver, the Master Series Divas, the Master Series Spinner, they're the exact same plates as a normal replica. You're paying $1,000 extra for that shitty strap with the backing over it.
No.
Yes.
But not the IC and the Winged Eagle, correct?
But not the IC, not the Winged Eagle.
Still, don't boost spinners. Wow, that's crazy.
Right. All right, so let's go back to the AEW. We're going to get sidetracked a lot. I'm going to try to go through this. And just for the people playing at home, there are 16 slides. So
I'm having a fantastic time.
Oh, great.
Don't mind me.
Awesome. So we talked about the cast. So if the belt itself uses casted plates versus a solid and individual layered plates, you as the person looking dead on at the belt, you won't know the difference. I just showed you pictures of a real belt that is 4 4-millimeter thick plates stacked on top of each other versus a replica belt that is cast with 10-millimeter thick plates. The details were exactly the same. The thickness was still true to what it should have been. The only difference you're going to notice is the weight. Okay, so for the people who just can't get it out of their head that it's hollow, it's to save on the weight.
What about the people that say it's not stacked?
It isn't stacked. It's you can take this 2-millimeter and you can extrude it to 4-millimeter. You can extrude it to 6, 8, 50, whatever, how many millimeters you want, and it's still hollow on the inside.
Yeah.
Okay, that's going to weigh less because it's hollow. Or I can take 10 2-millimeter plates and stack them on top of each other and still get to there.
Yeah,
there's no difference except the hollow and the weight in the middle, or the seam. You'll see the seam where the stacks are. All right. So if people want the weight and people are really that dead set on seeing seams, I really don't know what to tell you. All right, let's move on to the stones. Everybody wants to get stones, so let's talk about the stones.
Mm-hmm.
The stones are a huge improvement on this belt, in my opinion. Now,
yes, they sparkle. They sparkle really good, Dan.
I said from day one, this belt probably doesn't need a restoning. There are always going to be people who do the restoning. Okay?
Sorry, Richard.
But even Richard will tell you, like, these stones are better than any plastic stone any WWE shop belt has done. They're better than any of the replica stones on any of the New Japan replicas. All right. Now these stones, they're not Swarovskis, they're not cubic zirconia, they're not the plastic stones. They're a compromise. Again, could they have put cubic zirconia in them? Yes. Could they put Swarovskis in them? Yes. But as we're going to see in a future slide, when we get into the cost comparison, for a mass-produced replica, it's not going to be worth it. Because again, you're appealing to the mass market, not to us.
Correct. Money
Okay.
wise.
Now let's get to some of the other. So somebody brought up the bag. They literally spent 10 minutes out of their day complaining about the zipper bag that the belt came in.
That'll never go back in.
Bro,
it'll get folded up and put in a closet.
It never seems to amaze me, the shit that goes on in this hobby.
So the bags that the replica belts come in are for protection for travel. The bags are not meant for long-term storage. It doesn't matter if it's a zipper belt. It doesn't matter if it's a padded zipper belt. It doesn't matter if it's a drawstring, velvet lined, fleecy. You can wrap the thing up in whatever you want, okay? It's not meant for long-term storage. The belts need to breathe. They cannot be confined into a place where there is not moving air. That is where you get mold and mildew and all these little fungus things start growing on your belts. Okay? Don't store your belts in the bag. And then we get to the price.
Yes.
We get to the price. Okay? And, we talked about New Japan and their $2,500 replica, and WWE shop at the $14 and $1,000, and UFC at $850, NWA at $750. Okay? This belt is competitively priced based on everything that goes into it, based on what I'm going to show you in the next series of slides. Okay?
And that's my problem with is people like, oh, it should be the price is the same as the shop replicas because it's the same quality.
I'm not saying all, but I'm saying 85% of the people that complain at the price are in a certain price market in the hobby. I'm not running anybody down or anybody's I'm not doing that, so please don't interpret as that. But you're in a particular price market, and you've probably never spent $700 on a belt. You've probably never spent $1,000 on a belt.
These are the people who would prefer to have 5 really low quality $200 replicas than invest their money into one higher quality belt. You're not going to change those people's mind. They have to come to that conclusion on their own. But exactly, people are going to scoff at a high-end price in any hobby. If I told you I'm wearing an $8,000 watch, you're going to say, yeah, my $2 Casio tells me the time just fine.
You ain't Roy Wilson.
With a car. Like, if you're really a big belt enthusiast, you're going to spend the extra money on something. If you're really big into shoes, you're going to spend the extra money for the Louis Vuitton Jordans or whatever the hell the big trendy flashy thing is. I'm not, because I'm not a shoe guy. But if you're a belt guy, you're going to spend the more money. Okay?
Damn.
Canadian currency isn't real. Don't confuse the people with that. How many cans of maple syrup did you barter at the trading post for your belt?
Hey, I'm gonna back up Matt on this because Matt's one of the real Canadians. He only got 2 showers, but he one of the real Canadians.
No, I love Canada. I wish they would have me back.
No, they kicked you out, bro. It's because
I
you
think it's the whole COVID thing, but no.
No, Dan tried to put Bret Hart in a sharpshooter.
No, I Niagara Falls, perfect. Like that's perfect. Like weekend spot for me. Like I'm made for it. Okay, so we're going into the price.
Oh shit, he got screenshot. Hold on.
I told you guys I brought receipts.
Yeah. Oh shit, you wasn't playing games.
I get
You ain't lie. You ain't a lie, bro.
All right.
No, Eddie Williams, you are.
This is the thing. This is like the straw that broke the camel's back. If they are paying more than $50 to make it, they are getting robbed. And I know Carmine was talking in jest. And I will tell you right now, I did not watch last night's video. I saw the video where him and Mike and the other gentleman who has the AEW replica, they talked about it and they poo-pooed on it. And then after that, I was like, all right, enough is enough. Now you're just shitting on it to shit on it. You're not talking facts. And when you try to sound authoritative while trying to say that they should only pay $50 to get this belt made, it really proves the ignorance that it exists out there. And even though I know they're talking in jest and making a joke, there's a lot of people who are new in the hobby, a lot of people who are not as well educated and versed as us that are going to take that as truth. And then that's how all of the rumors and that's how all the falsehoods that get said about any random person in this hobby or any random fact about a belt just kept getting repeated and regurgitated. And you say a lie so many times that you're just repeating it and it becomes accepted as fact when it's not. Okay, so this is
so hold on. Speaking on this, right? Yeah. So Carmine, this whole situation, we've all, me, Joey, and Jay, and a lot of people, we all have a lot of experience with Carmine. And I'd say about 90% of what he says is 100% based on reaction. That's all he wants.
Right.
He wants Dan to react.
This is what he wanted. I'm not going to come at Carmine and say Carmine this, Carmine that. Everything I say in these next slides is based solely around if they are paying more than $50 to make it, they are getting robbed. That's all we're going to come back to. We're not going to come back to anything else about Carmine except for that fact. All right, it's screenshotted. Even though it says edited, he did leave the $50. In an earlier post, he said it was $40. So maybe he took a better look at the pictures, noticed something that
I'll be waiting for mine.
An extra $10 in value
Shipping
up somewhere along the line.
Shipping.
Fair enough. Okay.
My God.
Again, this project is like a baby of me. So when somebody badmouths your baby, you're going to defend it.
Can I say this? If you went bald, you would look just like Carmine with that picture.
I'm not going to lie, bro. You could be his brother.
I find that very racist. Not all Italians alike.
Well, is that kind of like whiteface?
Wow.
My 23andMe says I'm like everything, so technically you would be right. Like I am the definition of a mutt. So depending on me getting the right amount of tan, growing my hair out, facial hair, I can pass for like 90% of ethnicities. So that has gotten me out of a lot of trouble in the past. Okay.
I can totally see you in the Dominican Republic, just grooving by, bro.
I'm from Queens, and there were certain times where I was in not so good sections of New York, and I played the I'm Puerto Rican card. And nobody
Dan at the Puerto Rican Day Parade with a big goal.
You don't. Puerto Rican Day Parade is probably like the one day a year. Don't matter what color, what ethnicity you are. If you're in the New York area, go to the Puerto Rican Day Parade. You are going to have the time of your life.
Oh yeah.
Nothing better. That's like probably one of the Puerto Rican Day Parade, St. Patrick's Day. If you're in New York City, don't matter where you are, where you're from, who you are. Everybody takes you in and they'll make you feel like one of them. But
Hazard.
Like a Hazard is a man, bro.
Yes.
Sorry, Shane.
I'm sorry. I'm just looking at this picture.
me and Clippy got to work first thing this morning on this PowerPoint. So
Looks good.
Stay tuned, Dan. Tomorrow you're gonna wake up with a beautiful Photoshop. I got you, bro. Don't worry. These guys know my Photoshop skills.
I told you guys, like, my Photoshop skills aren't that good, but what they lack in technicality, they make up for in charisma. So
Hey, that's all that matters.
okay. So if they are paying more than $50 to make it, they are getting robbed. And I took that personally. All right.
No, bro, don't take it
So for the professor, it comes time. If you grew up in the 90s and 2000s, this album blew up. It was everywhere. If this album did not have some type of impact on your life, you were living under a rock. So based on those comments, I think it's time that for tonight, we implement the re-education of Carmine Sabia. All right. And I know I'm aging myself by making these references, but the big hit, I think that won like album of the year for the Grammys.
You're probably not older than Carmine anyway, so it don't matter.
I love the Grammys.
I don't know. But yes, triple platinum. Okay, guys. And the big hit off of that was Doo-Wop, That Thing. And some guys are only about that boot, that boot, that boot.
Mhm.
You're going to be singing
Lauren
that
Hill.
30
Holy
in
shit.
the morning. You are going to wake up in a cold sweat, and you are going to be humming that to put yourself back to sleep. And for that, you are welcome.
Every time I listen to Lauren Hill, I'm going to think about this song.
Right? It's jaded now forever.
Yes. All right. So,
Is that a mold, Dan?
yes, that is not
Those
mold.
those
That is
those
a mold.
that
Okay.
that just happens out of the sky, right? It doesn't cost anything to make that.
Right. Okay. So yeah, I got jokes. All right. Those last few slides, that's it. Now we're gonna get serious here, okay, guys? So this is the boring part. So if you don't like it, I'm sorry. If I put you to sleep, I'm sorry. But
No, this shit needs to get out. Go ahead.
this is we're going instead of going a mile wide and an inch deep, we're going an inch wide and we're going 3 miles deep tonight. We're
No
going
homo, bro. Go ahead.
That's a necessary evil, bro.
we are hitting
sure.
rock bickety bottom. Okay. So, can I share my screen a different way? Yes. I'm going to share my screen. Yes, sharing is easiest with 2 monitors.
Yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Am I the only one like enamored with this thing?
All right. Tell me.
I spent. You know how much time I spend researching belts and how they make belts and everything like that. So like, this shit, like, I love.
All right. You'll see this, right?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I do.
Okay. So what this is here, this is the 3D Cad art. So what happens is a normal 2D etch file that is sent to an etcher for 2D plates. The artwork is sent to the replica factory in China. And then the people who are very well versed in CAD software and 3D rendering get to work on it. What they will do.
And that person does it for free, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Make sure.
China is a communist country, so part of communism is they do all the work for free.
Well, we're trying to keep the bottom line down to $40. So I want to make sure we educate.
That's key.
100%. Okay. So what you see how we start having our simulated layers here. So this is our 1 layer. This is layer 2. The globe, the name banner, the diamond, that's your 3rd layer, and then the AEW logo itself is the 4th layer. And you could see the thickness. Okay, if they wanted to make it 4 millimeter thick in the casting, they could. All right, it's extruding. They can just click it, and they can hold it, and they can drag it up, and they can make it as high as they want, or lower it, and they can make it as low as they want
For free.
Okay? So
it sounds exotic, but yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
it does. Yeah, I've had many jobs. So.
Hey, yo.
Yeah. 20's a 20, bro.
Go ahead.
40 is a 40. But what we will see here, and what the issue was with the first prototype, is this here. There was no 4th layer. They kind of blended layer 1, layer 2, and layer 3 in together in some spots. There wasn't that clear delineation between the layers, which is why the first set of prototypes were rejected, and that added to the delay in getting this made.
But not the cost, right?
This is bare bone. This is V1. This is like the first thing, and you can see the casting marks. Okay.
Yeah.
You could.
Not gonna lie, I like that belt.
You could.
I do too.
I have this. Okay. There are 2 of these in the world, and I have 1.
Wow.
I got $50.
You got a frame, Dan, or no?
No.
Bro, you got to frame that.
No. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. Okay.
Be proud of your work, bro. Frame it.
What the issue here is. Again, this is where we recognize you're missing a complete layer. So this was rejected. Okay. If AEW If AEW was just trying to put out a product there for a money grab, they would have just approved it. Okay.
Yeah.
By rejecting this, new molds had to be made of that main plate. That is extra money, extra cost, and a delay. The whole project got delayed because of this. All right. So when you're seeing a final belt, if AEW understood they're going to sell this belt for $700, they don't want to put out a product that day one somebody starts ripping apart saying, hey, you're missing a layer. All right. AEW is not like the NWA who puts out a replica belt with the incorrect Union Jack on it. All right.
They don't want to shortcut their fans that know they're going to pay good money and expect something good.
Day one, when AEW contacted me to assist with this, they said, straight up said, we want the best replica belt we can make. We want this on par with the New Japan. Okay. So it's
known in those circles, like in the company circles, that's one of the best replicas,
right?
The IWGP.
I took it personally. If this belt was a failure, it's reflective on me as a belt enthusiast for not picking up on it. Okay, and you know what? I'm not going to try to claim 100%. I did have the most dealings with this. You know, AEW did have employees on it. They did send Ron a later prototype for him to investigate, and he picked out some things on it. So, you know, it wasn't solely me, although I did have a larger portion to do with it than the others in it. But it was a group project in a way where there's going to be things other people pick up, which I might have missed or I might have overlooked.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what you have to do on these types of projects.
And the shit can't be rushed.
Right.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, we're going to go through. We're going to play. All right. So we have this. Yes, I spoiled it. Okay. And now
I challenged Dan to go to his browser and type in the letter Y.
You'll get YouTube. What are you getting on your browser, Ethan?
A lot of other stuff.
You're going to get a lot of you.
Yeah.
Get
a lot of Carmine stuff.
So, you got to frame that, man. If you have that, please, Dan. Get it framed, man.
So this is what I'm going to tell you. They never threaded the bolts on the back, so I have to thread it if I want to mount it. It's literally just sitting on a strap. There's no screws in the back.
Oh, okay.
So like that's how primitive this was. It was like, hey, like look at all the casting marks. Like you're literally just they just popped it out of the mold. And it's like, hey, what do you think?
Here you go.
Right, like you could see how over time the project developed. Okay, so look at these things. Okay, these are dies. All right, there's a top and a bottom, and what happens is they put the liquid magma into the molds, and then they pop it out. It's die casting.
That's it.
Okay. Anyone here ever have like a little Matchbox car, a little Hot Wheels?
Yeah.
Kind of like the same thing, just on a greater scale. Okay. People want to shit about press plates. That's where the idea for the press plates came from, is the replicas. Okay. They roll out a big old slab of that vinyl, and these are big steel plates with all of the details embossed on it.
Dude, that's wild. I've never seen a full belt press plate. I've seen the snap boxes, but not a full belt press plate.
Wow.
This is what they do. They take a 2,000 pound or 2,000 ton, or people a lot smarter than me in China do this. This is how you get details on your plates. So if I'm going to re-leather a bunch of belts, maybe I should get one of these made, but then, it's not handmade. You get the idea. Okay. Time is money. Money is time. You guys this is why you're getting a mass-produced replica. We have to make 1,000 of these straps. You're not going to have somebody sit there and tool 1,000 straps for a replica. Okay. Goes back to, why are they using vinyl? Why is it not hand tooled? This all goes into it. It's economies of scale. Okay, we got to think about it. We're not making 5 belts. We're not making 10 belts. We are making hundreds. We are making thousands of belts.
And you got to keep it under the $40 price point.
And you got to keep on. Like, listen, you're using like $15 in steel here already. Okay, here's another look at the castings. Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Dan. Isn't there a next X number of times you can use a casting before you have to?
You skipped ahead in the slide deck.
Oh, okay, I didn't know.
Bad boy, no.
Damn it, Ethan.
Sorry.
Man?
There's always that one kid in the class who reads the next chapter. No, it's very intuitive. Anytime you're using metal, it's a wear item. You're going to get a certain amount of uses out of it before it deteriorates and it needs to be remade.
But they remake them for free, correct?
Yes, lifetime guarantee. What they do is they take the old one, they put it on a fire, and they just melt the metal back down.
It's kind of like the Costco guarantee. You just take something back to Costco, and then every time, Right. All right.
Save, bro.
Look at this honking piece of machinery. I don't know what it's called.
I don't know what it is.
I think I've seen that in Pakistan.
So what you do is you put your die here, you pour the liquid metal there, you shut the door, you go bing bang boom, you hit that
an extruder,
button, and it pops out. Big old belt pops out, already done.
Yeah, an extruder.
Okay, so
bro, we should invest in one of those, bro.
So guys, what do you think a machine like this costs?
I would say $36,000.
According to belt budget, $6.
That
I say 36,000.
Like
36 to 50,000.
That's a $25,000, $30,000 machine all day.
Joey, what do you think?
No, this is like a $200,000 machine when it was brand new.
There you go.
This machine.
I was just going to say that.
This machine's probably about 20 years old. Okay.
Oh shit!
So
you're looking at millions now with the updates in technology.
You're looking at, like, this machine has had the majority of its parts replaced 2, 3, 4 times over the years. All right. There is somebody who they know this machine like the back of their hand. They know when this machine's going to shit the bed based on the little sounds it makes. They know when the oil starts pumping out of this red hose a little bit differently, the sounds. Like, that's what we're getting into. Like, that's what these people do. Okay.
So it's one of us running the damn machine.
Right. The education of these people, that's how they're able to make so many in a short amount of time. So when you're paying a large price point for a replica belt, you're not paying for the raw materials, you're paying for the experience. You're paying for that person's knowledge. Yes.
And obviously in production, right? They have 100% accuracy where they never mess up.
I've been making belts 20 years. I haven't fucked up one yet, right?
Exactly. So I was making sure.
But imagine if, like, you didn't have, like, somebody with that experience on that machine, what the replicas would look like.
Well, hey, I'm a money mark. I just won Powerball. I want to make my own replicas out of my garage. Okay, I bought a $250,000 machine. How do I use it?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Who's going to teach me? How do I pay it?
Bro, right? I'm still learning the air fryer, bro.
No.
Dude, you need the easy bake oven. You set it and forget.
Done.
I have a 12-year-old, bro.
Right. Okay. This is another machine.
Ooh.
Okay. So we don't have a single machine. We have multiple machines with multiple dies, because each belt piece is its own die. So if you have a replica belt where 2 side plates are exactly the same, you can save money because you don't have to make 2 separate dies. But when you have each plate is unique to each other, each one of those plates needs its own die. All right. And that's where you can start seeing where costs can start adding up on a replica belt. So you have your 24/7 replica. It's 3 plates. It's a single layer. 2 of the plates are exactly the same. You only need 2 molds. Okay. So that belt is very inexpensive to produce on a scale. but it's not $50 cheap. Okay? Understand that. Even the cheapest replica, nobody's going to get better bulk prices than WWE Shop because of the scale and the amount of business they can give to a factory.
Global company.
They're not paying $50. They're not paying $50 per piece. They're paying more than that. Okay? So we're going to go with the belt like the AEW replica with all of its intricacies, all of the bells and whistles, and you're going to say it should only cost about $50 to make. Okay? No.
Well, Midwest experts say it's $50, so you got to roll with it.
Okay. So I don't read Chinese, but that looks like it says UFC.
Yeah.
I don't know how that slide got in there.
Joey, confirm.
But what we're seeing is that these people have experience. Billion-dollar companies like UFC in the past have used this factory or a factory like it. So these people are experienced. They're well-versed. They know how to deal with companies. They know the prerequisites, okay?
UFC.
Okay. How did everyone enjoy that?
I liked it.
Very intuitive, and I feel like our production costs are somewhere around the $28 range, so we got to get to that 40 mark.
Right. Okay, but you're starting to see how, replica belt, there's a lot to it. Okay, and we're not even done yet.
We're not.
We got the artwork made. We have our molds made. Okay, we're getting there. We don't even have a full belt yet.
No.
Okay, so let's get to the math section. Okay, so we're going by Carmine's math.
Oh no, I gotta get my calculator.
Or what people like Carmine assume.
Or you got this in pesos.
Is that the TI-81?
This is the TI-30X, bro.
30? No, you got to be in the 80s. When you get into the TI-80 series, you can put Drug Wars on it, and then you can mess around during trigonometry class and play Drug Wars.
Nice. Can I still use it for this though?
Can you do this in pesos?
Fantastic.
We're gonna do some simple addition.
I'm here for you.
Okay, so Carmine says AEW should be paying $50 per piece for their belt. I tried to use some nice round numbers here. None of these some of these numbers are fudged. We're not going to get into exact specifics because I do have a NDA agreement, so I can't get into specifics. I've used numbers here that are similar on scale just to give you guys an idea of what actually goes into it. Okay, yeah. So let's say we ordered 1,000 belts.
Nice.
I will tell you right now, come the future, if any of the groups ever want to do a replica or mass-produced belt, the minimum order quantity is 300 pieces. When you get over that 300 piece minimum, every 100, you can start getting discounts on your per piece price. But your minimum amount you need to buy is 300 belts.
It's going to be expensive. Woo.
Okay. So, doing Carmine math, we're at $50 a belt. We're ordering 1,000 belts because we know people. Listen, I got the biggest Facebook group out there. If you want to work with me, I sell more belts than anyone. We're doing 1,000 belts right out the gate.
Nice.
1,000 belts, $50 a piece. Should only cost AEW $50,000 for all these belts.
$50K. Hey, it's right there, $50K.
All right. The math has been peer reviewed.
Yep.
Okay. I believe in the scientific method. It has been peer reviewed and verified. Okay, mold fees. Remember those big old honking pieces of metal that we put into our $250,000 machine?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So for a normal 3 to 5 plate single layer belt, you're looking at $10,000 to have those molds made.
Okay, so that's
okay. Because of the depth, because of the screw up with that main plate, the amount of molds that had to be made for this belt were closer to 2.5 of the normal size replica belts. Okay, so same thing. When you get to that New Japan V4 replica, any of these intricate replica belts that scale out the plates and the thickness of the layers, you're looking at much more than $10,000 for your base price.
Wow.
Okay, so we had our $50,000 to buy these belts. We're losing $10,000 off of it. I'm being very kind by saying the molds cost $10,000.
So that puts us at $40,000.
$40,000, good man.
And that's barring any mess ups, correct?
Correct. Depending on what part of the country you are, an errant U.S. drone strike can wipe out half of your factory, and then you have to start from scratch. You can add some delay.
Bro, support the troops.
Dude,
Thanks, Biden.
This is a global economy. Like, there could be some 18-year-old in a military base in Las Vegas who falls asleep, and the drone misses by however much, and then like the factory gets screwed up, and then our replicas are delayed for another year.
I can see that happening.
It could happen. Anything's a possibility. All right. But we talked about those molds, and the question was brought up. They are a wear item. Depending on how intricate of the mold, how much detail is there, these molds can make a few thousand belts before they have to be replaced. All right. So if you're WWE and you're getting the 24/7 belt made, all right, those molds, they're never going to order a second set of molds because they're not selling enough products to wear them out.
To wear them out is bad as getting a spinner, which was all the rage back then.
Right. So now when you get into your big logo, when you get into your spinner, when you get into those winged eagles, the stuff that moves, the stuff that sells, not smells, the stuff that sells, this thing is going to be in that mold every day, popping out. Another one. Who's got a good DJ Khaled voice? Another one production. Yeah. Be the best, bro.
You know, when people were saying like, man, why is the AEW's taking so long? Something happened at the factory.
Yeah, bro.
Well,
it's a dangerous part of the world. It's true.
And that's another thing Dan can attest to is for shipping. Just go down to shipping, right? So I live in California.
Shipping is another slide.
Oh, God damn it! I'm always ahead.
Ethan, you're thinking big picture. You're taking into consideration every aspect that goes into this. Many people don't take that into consideration. They think it comes from point A to point B.
I've seen it happen all the time.
They don't understand what happens with the price. And every step of the way, there's costs, there's fees, and there's people that need to be paid. Okay, so that adds up. We talked about the molds. All right, they can make a few thousand before they have to be remade. Okay, when we get into the AEW replica specifically, you saw how those types of machines and molds will make the plates, but you saw all of the casting marks on them. Well, there is a person, there are people, there is a group of people that have to sit at a grinder and grind them off and polish them off. They all have to be polished and deburred and set before they can be tank plated or tank painted. All right. Fandu uses a metallic paint. Some of these companies, like with the UFC, they use a 10-karat gold plate. I said DJ Khaled, not DJ Ali.
But again, that's another free process. So we're just educating.
Exactly.
Right. Okay. But you get into an intricate belt, like your big logo, like your spinner, like the AEW.
Stop fucking booting spinners. Sorry,
the dual plating has to be done by hand. The stones, each one of those stones are set by hand. Machines can only do so much. Okay, there is a certain amount of hand and manual labor that has to be done on all of these belts. Okay, we got to take that into consideration. Added labor costs. Let's get stoned.
Hell yeah.
I see what he did. There he
Richard.
is. Okay.
Where's Richard Simpson? Okay. I'm going to be very kind here, okay? The AEW replica has 686 stones. Every stone in that replica is set by hand.
For free.
There is a person, there are people, there are a group of people that sat down and put 686 stones in 1,000 belts.
For free.
Okay. Now I am using, this is purely for the sake of conversation. These are Swarovski crystals. This is an example of a stone that would fit that belt. All right, let's look here. On the lower right-hand corner, because these people are good to me, I can get these stones for as low as 5 cents each.
Oh, 0.5.
So if AEW decided to use Swarovski crystals, it would be $34.30 in stones per belt.
Okay.
That cuts into our $40 budget.
Right.
Hard.
And if we're doing 1,000 belts, we're spending $34,300 just on stones.
Wow. The math adds up, yeah.
And then our mold fees. Okay?
Yeah.
Just on stones and just on molds, we've already went over Carmine's budget. We haven't even gotten into the metal. We haven't even gotten into the vinyl. We haven't gotten into the shipping. We haven't even gotten into the cardboard boxes. We are over Carmine's budget on stones and on mold fees. Yes,
haven't got to the belt bags either.
So we haven't got to the belt bags. 1, 2. Does AEW actually want to make a profit on the belt? I know they want to produce the belt because I love my fans so much, but you're a company, you don't want to make a profit, right?
No, Tony Khan is going the TNA route where the company will be bleeding millions of dollars every year for the next 20 years because it's going to be a tax write-off for the parent.
It's effective.
Okay. Now, you see where it says 5 cents each. These are Swarovskis.
Okay.
The stones in the belt are not Swarovskis, but they're not the dirt cheap plastic stones.
Oh.
So let's say, whomever is doing this stuff behind the scenes, a guy knows a guy, and sometimes stuff falls off a truck. You get this guy's married to my sister-in-law, so he can cut us a better price. Let's just say they pay 2 cents a stone. Okay. Like, come on, 2 cents a stone. You're still over $15,000 just on stones.
That's 130.
You forgot to carry the 3.
That's right.
Yeah, he did. He's from Cleveland, bro. He's from Cleveland. Excuse him.
Okay, guys, take your paper, pass it to the person across from you. Check each other's work.
Cleveland educational system, bro. Just don't mind him, bro. He's like, that's $73 worth of stones.
Okay, but we're having fun here and we're joking, and like this is an extreme example. 5 cents per stone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Most likely, the stones in the AEW replica are probably around a penny, 2 cents, 2.5 cents per stone. Okay. Even then, you're having $15 to $20 in just stones in a belt. So how can you say this belt should only cost $50? Okay, that's where the ignorance comes in, or the miseducation. That is the terminology I use.
Maybe like $13 per belt.
You're not thinking all the way through.
Yeah.
All right. So to say that AEW should only be paid $50 per belt, you can see why that really struck a nerve with me.
Can you imagine if they only spent $50 on the belt, like what it would look like?
I'd love to see a $50 produced AEW belt. It'd probably look like something I seen on eBay earlier.
Right. Okay, so we've taken our sweet time. and I know people have things to do, so we're going to try to pick up the pace a little bit. All right, we have our other costs. Okay, I told you up until this point, we have our metal molds and we have our stones, and we're already over our $50,000 budget that Carmine gave us. Well, now we need the die-cast metal to make the actual plates. All right, we can't just go to the scrapyard, find a bunch of old Buicks, melt it down, and use that.
No.
You have to purchase the raw material to use for the plates. And by using hollow plates, you're using less material, so we're saving some money. All right, don't say people aren't thinking all the way through. And then we have the screws that have to hold the plates to our vinyl strap. Oh shit, we didn't buy vinyl yet. All right, somebody run out to Hobby Lobby. We need 40,000 yards of vinyl.
Ooh.
How much is that? I don't know. I don't have a friend in the vinyl field. Okay. And you know what? I made a mistake here. I did not even take into fact the cost of zippers. What zippers run now? Because we're giving you a belt.
I would say $1, maybe 95 cents, something like that.
I'm not saying you're right. I'm not saying you're wrong. I don't know. These are costs I didn't even think about until right now. I totally forgot they come in a belt bag. I totally forgot there's a zipper in it. I totally forgot that there's dye that has to be injected in a machine. That way it can be ran over the belt. That way you have a nice AEW logo on your belt.
Yeah.
Nobody thought about that. Nobody thinks about that. Okay. And if you order the belt and you say, hey, it'll be $5 cheaper if we don't include a belt, how many people are going to click that checkbox that says no bag?
Right.
$5 is $5. You know, you spend $700 at this point, you get another $5 short.
It means nothing. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Like I said, the hand labor, we're polishing, we're prepping the plates, we're getting all of that excess casting material off of it. We're getting it ready for the metallic painting. We have the hand labor for putting the gold plating over it. All that gold on your AEW replica was done by an actual person, not a machine. There have been a few people who have complained that there's some sloppy gold, some gold splatter. This was done by hand by somebody in China. So yes, there are going to be those imperfections.
Yeah.
And then our 686 stones, all set by a person. And you know what? Those stones don't just magically stick to the metal. All right, there is some type of voodoo adhesive that is used, and I don't know. I don't have a guy in the glue field. Maybe they have a deal on horses or something, and they can get. I don't know. It's not factored into the final cost, but glue. How much? Tube of glue, $6. Put in all 686 stones. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, guess what, guys? We have our belt. We have a final belt. Okay? We got all the raw materials. We got all of our machines. We got all of our people, all the hands on deck. We made our final belt. Okay? We got a belt that's just it's sitting in a factory in China. Okay? Now what we have to do with this belt is somebody needs to take it and put it into that zipper bag. Okay, and that zipper bag needs to be bubble wrapped and it needs to be put into a cardboard box.
For free.
For free. So,
we're saving so much money, it's not even funny. Nice. Because this ship's flat. I like that.
Okay. Well, people who went to college a lot longer than me and make a lot more money than me figured out that FedEx charges less money to ship the belt like this than they would in a square or rectangular box.
Because as belt owning 101, putting it in a flat rate box is not good.
Right. Because of the strap is so stiff and because the plates are so thick, you can't fold 50 of these into a flat rate box and send it. Okay. So we have our belt. It's made, and we put it into that box. Okay. And now we're going to take that box and we're going to put it into another box. And we're going to put these boxes on a pallet. And we're going to shrink wrap them, and we're going to put bands on it. We're going to take this pallet. And somebody, who here has a forklift license? Okay.
I had one when I worked at Walmart.
Right.
But yeah, go ahead. Hey,
But
don't mind me.
So I work in the distribution business, so.
But that's the thing. Like, hey, forklifts aren't cheap to maintain. All right. If you burst a hydraulic line, or if you're lucky enough, if you have an electric one, you need extra batteries. Or like the forklifts I used to run were liquid propane. All right. All of these costs in manufacturing, you don't think about it. So there's going to be somebody on a forklift needs to take these pallets, 1,000 belts, and they need to pick them up on their forklift, and they need to put them on a truck. Okay. And guess what, guys? With this, we'll call it, what's the buzzword now? Supply chain issues.
Supply chain.
Supply chain.
Oh shit! That's probably why, because the AEW belts were in the supply chain funnel thing.
Okay.
So in the grand scheme of warehouses, like, so I work in a small warehouse. It's like 70,000 to 100,000 square foot, just small.
Okay.
But we spend $18,000 a month on just one forklift company to come and maintenance the equipment.
Jesus.
A month.
If those forklifts went down, your business would be
stopped.
Right. A successful company, it has to be a well-oiled machine. Every cog in the line needs to be greased, needs to be oiled. Okay?
Like a clock.
So because of our supply chain issues right now, depending on the day, depending on the week, FedEx will limit the amount of weight you can send out at one time.
Those bastards.
Okay? So we have our belts. They're all boxed. They're palletized. They're sitting in a warehouse in China. But now FedEx is saying you can only ship a few of these a day, or a few pallets of these a day. Yes, sir.
Because you couldn't boat them. Because why? I live in Cali, and we constantly have 50 to 80 boats sitting on the dock because we don't have enough manpower to unload the cargo ships at the dock.
Right. There's a labor shortage because they're only getting paid $50 a belt. If you got if you got paid $55 a belt, you could hire extra.
We can move. Yeah. It makes sense.
Spread that money around.
Right. Okay, we're talking about belts tonight, and we're being very jokingly about it. But everything we're talking about tonight, you can apply that. This is business 101. This is how products are made on a grand scale. You go to Walmart, and it doesn't matter what you pick up off the shelf. It went through pretty much the same process as everything we're doing. So when you see Walmart selling an item for $1.99, everything that has to go into that to get that product to $1.99 is just amazing. Like, people are making decisions that can shave a penny off of the manufacturing cost in order for Walmart to make that extra penny. Okay?
Yeah, no. You ain't lying.
Like, this is how the economy works. We're just belt marks who don't understand it. And now we're going to get a good idea of why your AEW replica does not cost $40 or $50 to make. All right. So we still have our stuff sitting in China. Okay. And FedEx and the government is telling us how many of these boxes we can put on a plane. All right. Because AEW wanted these belts distributed for Christmas. And there were belts here before Christmas. I will say that. All right. Based on a lot of other things going on, which I'm not going to get into, which I have no idea to speak about, but there's other businesses, there's other things that were more pressing. Okay. So the replica belts had to be, yes.
So I just keep going back to the distribution, how we're talking about it now. and you look at it from, okay, the belt weighs 9 pounds, 10 ounces, roughly just the belt, not, let's call it 10 pounds with box and everything like that.
For argument's sake, yeah. Go ahead.
For argument's sake. So, right. So if you look at distribution, right, when you're putting that pallet on an airplane, right, you can't put, you would think normally because, hey, the box is a little smaller, it's a little thinner, you can get 60 on there. But 60 of those belts is how much if it weighs 10 pounds?
Yeah.
On a pallet, that's six. It just, the math doesn't work. So you got to understand these pallets aren't very big.
Right.
And you're going to have multiple pallets. So again, all that space is money. That's all dollars and cents.
Yeah.
Right.
600 pounds right there.
Right. So you have weight limits on your cargo plane because you're only allowed to bring in certain weight load per day. All right. And we'll get into that because I'm 100% convinced you cheated and you went ahead and you looked at the slides.
I wish.
Damn it, Ethan.
I've been a 20-year warehouseman, bro.
No,
that's just what I do.
I keep going back to this and I'm making jokes of it, but you have a very business savvy mind for this. Like you're thinking every step along the way. And unfortunately, not everyone thinks like that, which is why I came on, which is why I'm trying to explain this to the mass market. That way people start getting a greater understanding, not only of belts, but of like every product you buy. Maybe you'll have a greater appreciation of everything that goes into it.
Word.
Okay. So all of those boxes of our belts, they shipped from air from China to Chicago. Okay.
Chi-town.
Now what happened was they could have been put on a boat. The boat or the cargo boat shipping was about half of the price that air shipping was. Okay, but as you said, there are boats in port for 6 months. There are cargo containers just sitting there. Okay, people want to know why you can't go to a car lot and purchase a new car. All right, the chip shortage bullshit was done a while ago. There are cars that have been made and manufactured. They are sitting in ports, just sitting there because there is not enough people to take them off, to bring them into the country, to inspect them. Right, there is a severe labor shortage.
But not only that. So you have your car shortage, right? Let's go raw materials. You go raw materials. So like, being in a warehouse and a distribution, we rely on like hand trucks and things like that are built out of raw aluminum.
Right.
Those are sitting on boats because we don't manufacture our own aluminum anymore. We get it from China. It comes over on a boat.
Right. You got pallet jacks and dollies and all of this other stuff. Like, it's ridiculous. What happens is we have a workforce that has finally realized that they're not getting paid a livable wage to perform the work that they're doing.
Oh,
and
shit,
it's easier for those people. What we have is the gig economy where people can start freelancing and doing odd jobs, either online or doing odd jobs around their community. And they're making more and they're pocketing more money than working for a big corporation who doesn't want to pay them vacation, who doesn't want to pay them benefits, who doesn't want to treat them like a human being. Okay, so if you're only willing to pay $50 per piece of your AEW belt, you're going to have a hard time finding people to help you in that manufacturing process. And the people that you are willing to help find for that price are not going to be the people who graduated at the top of the class. Okay, you're going to be getting some of the lowest of the low. And unfortunately, that's how the economy works, especially in America. All right. I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm not trying to belittle anybody who has these types of jobs, but there are some people who got to pay bills, and there's some people who $20 is $20. So if they have to unload a cargo container all day, that's what they're willing to do. All right. Until these companies start paying their workers a livable wage and start treating them like human beings and not a disposable resource, we're going to continue to have these types of problems. Okay.
So
I'll get off and we will get back to belts. Okay.
Let me throw something in there though. Yeah. So depending on where you live, so California is inexpensive. We all know it's an expensive place to live. I mean, if
Democratic
you look
stronghold, bro.
100% Democratic stronghold. But
just so you know, Dan, Ethan voted for Nancy Pelosi.
I did not.
In her district. Yeah, he did.
No.
Oh, keep going.
But here's my issue. My thing is, we are so. I think it's as much as it's generational because like the kids nowadays do have no work ethic. We will go through 80 people in a few months because these kids lack work ethic. That's one. But two is like, they want to be paid $25 an hour to start.
Right.
And so we're literally like my company pays them. I think we're at a $22 an hour starting.
That's good though. And here's the
and you're still struggling to find people. There's a lot of alternatives. Like I don't think any of us are that blessed, but you get somebody who has a little bit better genetics, they can open an OnlyFans and they can make $10,000 a month selling foot pictures.
Hey, I'll sell foot pictures for 10,000, bro. I will sell foot pictures for 10,000 a month. Not lying.
Right, but we're not in high demand, unfortunately.
True.
But there's stuff like that. Like, technically the unemployment rate is low, but that means the people who want jobs are getting jobs. There's people who don't want jobs, so they're not counted as unemployed, or they're actually doing stuff. They're doing freelance work. They're writing. Like, your people are gonna be putting that. What is your job on your 2021 taxes? Mm-hmm. I sell foot pictures on OnlyFans, and I make more money than everyone in your family. Okay.
OnlyFans, man, they make millionaires. But go ahead,
that's
then.
True.
Go ahead with the. I want to see this AEW.
Right.
Go ahead.
You got people making money on crypto. There's many avenues of making money. So if you want somebody to come out of their house and break their back in a factory all day for you, you're going to have to work and pay them a little bit more. Okay. Mm-hmm. So again, going back to it, cheaper to ship by boat, but they wouldn't have gotten here till probably next summer. So they got on a cargo plane, all right, via FedEx, all right. So I got shipping quotes today. FedEx would want $55,000 to ship 1,000 belts from China to Chicago via air.
Ouch.
For the gentleman with the calculator, what was our original budget?
That would have been $50,000, my good sir.
Okay. You have a $50,000 budget. We spent $10,000 on molds. We spent $36,000 on stones. We're spending $55,000 just getting the belts from China to Chicago. Okay? And then once we're in once we're in Chicago, we got to open up. Well, no. We got to open that cargo container. Another person with the forklift license has to take those pallets off. They have to put them on a FedEx truck. Mm-hmm. The FedEx truck has to bring them to Pro Wrestling Tees. The people over at Pro Wrestling Tees need to open up all those boxes.
Good people, by the way.
They got They got to take those little boxes out of the big boxes. All right. They got to make sure that none of those belts were damaged on that long plane ride over. Okay. They have to go through their inventory and see who purchased what. They got to put more stickers on it. Because now FedEx is going to charge you more money to take those belts from Chicago and bring them to New York, bring them to California, bring them to every part of the country. And at the end of the day, Billy Bob can open his AEW replica, be proud as a pig in shit, put pictures of it on Facebook.
Like Mike Jones. Mike Jones had sex with his wife right as soon as he got it. He put it on and he just...
He video chatted us.
This guy.
So as soon as that picture goes on the internet, somebody who knows better than us is going to shit all over it and say, you paid too much money for it. If you paid more than $50 for this belt, you got ripped off. Okay? That's a truck in China with replica belts on it.
Nice.
So my conclusion, my personal conclusion, I'm an independent person. I make my own decisions based on all the facts that I presented. So a legitimate replica belt manufacturing in bulk is very expensive. All right. There needs to be a large order placed in order to make it financially beneficial to the company in China to make, for the belt makers, or excuse me, the belt company to sell, for the company whose intellectual properties are being used for this belt. Everybody has to make their money along the way. If it's not financially feasible for them, they're not going to bother with it. All right. So going through my emails today, doing the research, I had over 800 emails between myself and the manufacturing company in China, just about like all the little details, fixes, all of that stuff. Okay. I've been working on this project for almost 2 years. I was not paid a single dollar. Okay. I did this. Number one, you know, I got an education and business experience through this. I made contacts in China. I made contacts in AEW. I made contacts every step of the way. Okay, so when you're talking about people who want to be businesses, who want to run bootleg belt businesses and become a middleman, that's not a business. This is how you run and try to make yourself a business. All right. I didn't make a single dollar off these AEW replicas, but the people I've met along the way are priceless. So next time you guys want to do a pounding the meat belt, all right, another organization. Oh, hold on, I'm not done with my slides. I don't necessarily think that every company can do replica belts. It's not financially feasible for all of them.
The TNA, well, a question I have for you. Yeah. I don't know if you know the answer to this, but the TNA's, because I know they did replicas for a bit and then it just like ceased. Was it that they saw that it wasn't getting the monetary value that they thought it was going to be? What happened with that?
I wouldn't know the financial schematics of that, but I do think the amount of ownership and the turnover within management with TNA had a lot to do with that. I think there was a lot of instability at the top. So something as trivial as merchandising and replica belts weren't really a priority. So all of the contacts I made along the way, all right, this is what how do I financially, like people like, oh, Dan's only in it for the money. If Dan was in it for the money, Dan wouldn't have done it. Okay. So for those of you who don't know, I have a business relationship with the New York Yankees. I have made them several belts that they have used for their team.
The Yankees, bro?
Yes, we have tried. Wow. We have tried. All right. So all the contacts I made here.
My favorite little rascal, bro.
These people in China, now they know me. Now they know Dan. When they see an email from Dan, they know Dan isn't blowing smoke up their ass. All right. Dan just put them in contact with a $1 billion company and got them good work. Okay. So now when next time Dan comes over to them, maybe they'll be a little bit kinder to me as far as the pricing goes because they know I'm legitimate. I tried putting the Yankees in contact, tried doing the same thing. Yankees felt like it wasn't financially feasible for them. They didn't think there was going to be enough of a profit made on replica belts, so they passed on it. Okay, but the contacts are there. So let's say any random wrestling company comes to me. If they think they can, if anybody out there thinks you can sell 300 plus copies of an individual belt, come to me. I will help you make the replicas happen.
But your networking,
right,
that you're doing is priceless. Just like you get a company like Lamborghini. Lamborghini say, "Yo, we don't make commercials because our demographic isn't watching TV."
Right.
So all your networking is invaluable to what you're doing.
Right.
So you take a little loss on the short end, but on the big end, you're gaining invaluable contact.
It's planting a seed. Yeah, might not. The fruit is not going to bloom tomorrow. It might be a year from now. It might be 5 years from now. All right. These contacts are priceless, and that's the business relationship. So I set up AEW with the company. AEW was very happy. Okay. AEW did not really want to do the replica belts. There were people within the company who thought it was a waste. They thought they were not going to be successful. All right. When we did the pre-sale numbers, internal management thought they were going to do X amount of pre-sales. The pre-sales were open for 1 week, and those pre-sale numbers did multiples of what they thought internally they would do.
Wow.
Everybody in AEW was over the moon with the pre-sale numbers. Okay. And that's only happens because of the fans and because of the collector community that are willing to use their money as a way of voting and saying, yes, we want to do replica belts. We want to go about things the right way. So now maybe next time AEW isn't as gun shy about doing a replica of a belt. Or maybe some of these other companies start seeing, hey, there is a market for replica belts. Let's look into it. Okay, so you guys or us as collectors, what we want is we want copies of the belts we see on TV. I'm trying to go about it in a legal way where everybody who owns intellectual property get their piece of the pie along the way. And at the end of the day, everybody wins. You as a fan, we as the fans get a legitimate copy of the belt. The companies who own the belts and own the artwork, everybody's satisfied. We are not stealing from anyone.
And I think with when it comes to respect to boots and replicas and stuff like that, I think there's a certain level of agree to disagree with certain things. Like for me personally, like at the price point I live in, and I can acknowledge just the price point I live in. Like I would love to be able to have all Reggies and Millikins, but that's not the price point I live in.
Right. Jesus.
Right. No,
you know, so for me though, if WWE Shop would produce Master Series quality, like I would not go to Classic Shields and these other companies to buy a belt. But since they can't produce them, I'm going to go to where I need to go to get the comparable of what I feel like. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, and I know I 100% understand that you are on the it's wrong because I'm stealing the artwork, and I get that. That's for me is, you know, and I think that's where people misinterpret you, right?
Right.
Like you are this guy that is anti-boot, but I understand where you're anti-boot. You made the IWGP, I guess V5. Let's call it that. Whatever.
I actually like that belt. I got a lot of shit, but
it got a lot of shit, but it really grew on me.
It got shit because of what it replaced.
Yes, agreed. But
I want to ask this question.
Go ahead, Joey.
When you were making the AEW and everybody in AEW, like, were you guys targeting the crowd that, you know, the IWGP replica crowd, or like the WWE Shop crowd? Like,
it was a mix of trying to. There was different people.
Yeah.
You know, like AEW is made up of there are numerous people. This wasn't one person who had a final decision, although one person ultimately had the final decision. It's a group tank effort where there's people who are like, yeah, I'm a belt mark. I want this something that belt marks want. And then there's somebody who's like, well, I'm a financial guy. I want to squeeze the most amount of profit out of this. And then there's another person who says, hey, I just want something that the most we want it like the big gold where we're going to see fans at NBA games holding it up. Like, yeah. So what this is you're trying to appease everyone. And unfortunately, sometimes you cut corners or sometimes things aren't exactly the way us as fans want it, but it makes a different side of the aisle happy. So going back to Ethan's point about WWE and their Master Series, this is the kick in the dick. WWE can do that. WWE can do Master Series quality belts of everything they produce. They're just choosing not to. Okay. So when we all work together, our unified voices are stronger together than they are fighting against each other and separately. So part of the reason of this little educational series today is hopefully that everybody together, we can all start using our community as a voice for these companies to say, hey, we want the classic European belt, but we want it done this way. All right, well, I've already headed up a project. The results speak for itself. All right, people at WWE, people at WWE Shop, people wherever you are, you need somebody to head up a project. That's the type of results you're going to get. All right.
Yeah,
I'm willing to do work.
Understandably, this hobby's this weird type of emotional, right?
Right.
Like, and so you get Dan can sit here and say, just out of jest, like Carmine can say out of jest that, if you spent more than $50 or $100 producing a belt, you're crazy. But Dan can say out of jest that, like, if you bought a Fandu Big Gold, that you're the worst part of the hobby, or you're everything that's wrong with the hobby, right? Some people will live with that and take that to their grave instead of like understanding that what Dan's saying is like you're contributing to the hobby of, I can go to eBay right now and type in IWGP
right,
and see the most atrocious things that have
It's bad.
It's bad.
I've dealt with, there are certain people in the company who said doing replica belts is not going to be worth it to us. It's not financially advisable to us. We're not going to spend the time. If people want to copy, just get a bootleg. We don't care. And that's when you have corporate people in corporate places compared to having people who actually care about belts being in a certain position. And I'm not going to agree with you. I'm not going to disagree with you. I understand 100% your bootleg. Like, I'm not saying, like, I'm not black and white bootlegs are bad. I'm just trying to say, like, I don't specifically allow them on my forum for specific reasons. And I'm at the point where I can't be flexible with that. If I want to be flexible, there's going to be a whole side of the hobby who feels like I've sold out or I'm giving in. So I put my line in the sand, and there's sometimes where I'll just turn my head and I'll let people do what they want to do. And once they get out of line, I got to put them back in their place.
But you have to, because this hobby is entirely weird.
Before we get into that,
my place in this hobby, I have to do that.
Before that, Dan, could you go on to the last slide? Because this is going to go, that conversation you're having is very important to the slides we're going to show the people.
I want to know about the Masters.
All right.
Go ahead, Joseph.
Okay, the Master Series. You said WWE could do it.
Yes.
If they did, can they put the WWF logo on the belt?
Yes.
And how much do you think it would cost if they put it on the shop?
But here's the thing, though. I'm looking at it from a consumer. If I'm already spending $1,200, $1,300, $100 on a Classic Shields because that's what I want, I would gladly spend $1,200, $1,300 on a Master Series Winged Eagle, $1,500.
Oh, fuck yeah.
But here's the thing, though, is you're going to have those guys that have never spent $500, $700 are going to run the belt down.
Right.
It's purely economics.
They're going to say, I have my $250 Winged Eagle and I'm happy for it. That's because you never paid more than $250 for a belt.
That's my irritation, is it's purely economics. No. I'm not better than nobody. I don't think that I'm better than anybody. But understand, when you buy a Kia, you get a Kia. When you buy a Lamborghini, you get a Lamborghini.
So Dan,
that's how it works.
Before I have you wrap up this, because I want to show the other slides. My sister Dolores thought the world of you. And one of the things that she would say a lot, and she said that you would say, is that number one, a Reggie's always going to be a Reggie, right? And a replica, you're always going to get what the replica is going to be. The bootleg is going to be an interpretation of someone else who doesn't even understand what they're seeing. That's what that bootleg is going to be. Right. And here's the thing with the shop, with the official replicas, the people that want to stick and say that the shops suck and all that stuff, they say, oh, it has this imperfection, it has that imperfection. How many imperfections does your $250 belt have?
Right.
And you're just ignoring.
Much more.
You know?
It's a thing, like when you purchase a belt, it doesn't matter which belt you purchase, you're financially invested into it. So there's emotion behind it. If somebody shits on it, that in a way that's shitting on you.
And pride is a terrible thing. Right.
I will go back to the WWE shop. WWE, first and foremost, is a marketing business. Okay.
It is
not about it is not like the on television product that is so far down the line. Okay, they are a marketing company. All right, they are selling the most amount. What they are doing is they're projecting and propping up their replica belts in a point of, we want to sell the most amount of units, maximize profit, and get our logo out there. And in the recent years, there are new people who have been hired who are more of a belt mark like us. And they're starting to slowly see the bootleg sales cut into it. And that's why you're starting to get next generation copies, and they're revisiting the older belts and updating them and making them a little better. And they're getting competitive, all right? Because when you get $1 billion company and you start stealing hundreds of dollars from them, they're not going to look at you. You start stealing thousands of dollars from them, they might look twice at you. So over the last 10 years, when you're starting into the tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars in theft from them, now they're going to start paying a little bit closer attention.
Well, okay. That's how I posed it to, since we're on the top, that's how I posed it to Carmine, right? So Carmine writes his political stories and things like that. I was like, your argument is the same as Dan's. Imagine somebody stealing all your articles, putting their name on it, and selling it, making way more money than you're making. How would you feel?
Right.
And he literally said, and this is out of Carmine's mouth, was like, I never thought about it like that.
If everything, how many hours does Carmine spend coming up with original content? I'm not talking about for belts or for coins, for his political stuff. And if there was somebody on the other side that just copied, pasted it, and put it in a different arena where they made all of their money solely based on the theft of Carmine's intellectual property, how would that make Carmine feel?
Agreed.
Now, when he gets to the point where he exhausted all of his avenues of recourse, what happens is that starts getting to you to the point where you're not as creative, and you start doubting yourself. It's like, well, why am I getting up today? Why am I putting 8 hours into an article? Why am I putting 10 hours into belt art when as soon as I share it with the world, somebody's going to steal it and make more money from it? The theft of intellectual property over a long period of time is going to slowly snuff out creativity from artists, regardless of what your medium is, whether it's belt art, whether it's drawing pictures, whether it's creative writing articles, whether you're an author, any of that. And that's what I'm trying to bring to point. And I don't necessarily always do the best job of conveying that. And like, I am flawed. I am a severely flawed human being. I try to get better every day, just like the rest of us, but that's
all you can do, bro. That's all you can do.
But if you're misinterpreted, are your PMs open to be able to just go ahead and have a conversation with you to understand your point of view and your perspective, so maybe we can get past this?
My DMs, my email is open I talked to Carmine today. We're going back and forth on it on 3 different belt groups, and then we're talking to each other in private. Okay? Depending on the day, depending on how he's feeling, me and Ron used to talk every day. All right. Sometimes it would be, you're an asshole, you're a dick, you're this, you're that, block me, boom. And then the next day I'd tell you, what do you think about this?
I think we'll have to save the Ron situation for another episode.
Yeah.
No, but that's the thing though. I separate Dan as an individual human being and Dan as the belt person. If you want to come to me and talk belts, if you want to come to me and talk, like, we can, if you can bring facts, if you can make your argument in a way that makes me think in a way I haven't thought about it before, we can have that back and forth conversation. If you're just going to come at me with personal insults and making fun of my mother and photoshopping my wife and wishing on my children, you're not going to get a reply from me. But if we have a difference of opinion and you want to tell me all the reasons why you think I'm a terrible human being, tell me, and then I'll come back with you. And it's like, well, did you ever think about it from my perspective? I don't always think about it from your perspective, which is why people say, why do you go on Carmine's show? Why do you go on Eddie's show? Why do you go on these bootleg shows? You're a sellout. You're giving these people the time of day. They don't.
I'm telling you, Dan. I've been on Bell Talk and I've seen guys like Groovy G's put up like 3 pages worth of shit on how wrong, and it's something that I was gonna get into with you, where it's like, does that breed ignorance? Does that, because a lot of those guys on Bell Talk, they gatekeep And I understand you have your stance on bootlegs, right?
Yeah.
You have your stance on it. But I always felt like why don't we try to educate the people about this instead of saying no bootlegs whatsoever? It's like, no, I understand your stance on it.
Right.
And a lot of these guys people can't even ask a question on Belt Talk without getting, ramaged apart by someone else.
The stuff we're getting into now is its whole separate conversation. Let's just wrap up the slides, okay?
Go ahead.
We got one slide left. What we take away from this at the end of the day, all right, our 2.5 hour conversation tonight was based on Carmine saying this AEW replica should be $50 per piece. Okay? Everybody has a maker. Everyone's a middleman. Everyone's got a boy. Okay? I'm naming two of the biggest people because of the economies of scale. So my challenge today for Classic Shields, my classic today for Fandu, my challenge today for anybody out there. You see that AEW replica behind me. Go buy one. Go give it to them. If there is a company out there who thinks they can make 500, 1,000, 10,000 copies of that belt of the same quality or better, individually packed, start to finish, made, manufactured, boxed, shipped to the United States in 9 months or less, can you do that? Can you do that for $50 a piece like Carmine thinks you can? Can you do that for $100 a piece? Can you do that for $200 a piece? All right. This is a challenge to everybody out there. I am open for business. I will be your middleman, but I will be your middleman in a legal way where you get a nice fat check from some wrestling company out there and legitimize your business. All right. You want to be legit. You want to be with the big boys. You want to come and sit at our table. Here's your challenge. All right. Come at me.
Nice. Thank you so much, Dan. I literally Leo, bro. So Dan, thank you so much for doing that. I mean, I've learned so much, and you guys can, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure Ethan and Joey can agree that there's a lot of stuff in there to go to. And our final segment here tonight.
You always wait until I'm 2 to 3 beers in before you.
You have to, bro.
I have to. I'm sorry, Dan. But
You want the venom.
So here's the thing. Normally here on Get the Strap, what we do is we give you certain makers. We give you a price, the materials, all that stuff. We're not doing that shit here. We're not. We're going based on price. Someone said that it's not worth $700, Dan. It just isn't. It's worth close to $500.
It should not be worth more than a shop belt.
It should not. So here is the thing. We're going to start off with, the official, right? The AEW World Championship, the official title that Dan was involved in.
You came with your own PowerPoint. See?
Hey, you have to be organized. $700, my friend. And go ahead, Ethan.
I do have a challenge for Dan after the slideshow's over. I got one challenge for Dan. So go ahead, Jay.
Until the slideshow's over. So we're not going to get into details about the price and all that stuff. We're going to do that. We're going to go back to our normal, standard, boring presentation that we give to you. But here we go. $700 for your official AEW. And this is what you get. Thank you to Matt Panetta for allowing us to use his belt in these photos.
We had to pay him in Canadian money.
We did, and it wasn't as expensive as I thought it was going to be.
Maybe AEW shop, like Matt,
$11 and poutine.
Matt, send your pictures to the people at Pro Wrestling Tees and AEW shop. I'm telling you, man, they're gonna like these pictures a lot. Like maybe you get a T-shirt or something.
It's beautiful. It really is. Joey,
hold on. Right there. People ask, what's the difference? Look, that top stone at the top of that triangle or that diamond. Okay, on the real belt, there's no stone at the top or the bottom. That's like the biggest giveaway.
Okay.
But again, replica went based on some artwork differences. But if you're one of those people who want to look and pick out the differences between the real and the replica,
That's one.
Or the bootlegs. Most of the bootlegs have the stones wrong, and 99% of the bootlegs do not have the floral in the world champion letters.
Nope.
And that's not a font. That is custom.
Oh, here, I'll give it this way. If you want to understand what the real versus replica is, if you take your replica and it looks like a funhouse mirror on the chrome, on the nickel, you have a replica, or you have a boot.
I challenged people last year. I grabbed the figs because, again, the shop and the figs get shitted on a lot. But I've noticed that a lot of these middlemen and a lot of these makers can't give me a belt that I can literally reflect myself on, that my old lady can sit in front of and, do her makeup and be done with, right? They get that foggy look. You can't see shit, right? But this is beautiful. And I didn't pre-order it. I'm going to get it as soon as the shop has it available. I think it's wonderful. It really is. And I don't understand what people see wrong with it. Again, we talked about the hollow stuff earlier with the US, how much different the leather has to be to hold it up. And I really don't understand the gripe that people have with it. I mean, this looks great if it's a replica that you're gonna display.
What's wrong with this?
I think what's wrong with it is you get caught up with people wanting to say stuff just for the sake of saying stuff. To be honest.
Okay. Well, all right. If you were looking at the Milliken, that globe would be a thicker piece. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
And they complain about the leather, the strap,
Well,
but here's the thing:
you get genuine camel leather if it comes from Pakistan.
I'm. If you want me to concede a point, I will concede the strap argument. All right, the strap is done for the mass appeal. All right, we're never going to get a hand-tooled strap.
But you can't tell me that a $250 strap is going to look as good as something like this or as something from the shop. It doesn't. The shop strap is made to look good, not feel good.
Right.
So, I mean, look at that.
So he was another big issue with the strap itself. We didn't feel that the letters were embossed into the strap deep enough, and we asked for more pressure on those pressure plates to be placed on it. So if I had to guess, as more and more people get their replicas, I would make a random guess that there will be some replicas that have deeper embossing of the AEW logo in the strap.
So this
is what a $50 belt would look like. Go on.
Don't say those things, Dan. You can't say things like that live on air. Look, it has lush stones.
We went to start through finish of how the AEW replica belt was made.
You got the chrome color, bro.
If you think that AEW should only have paid $50 per piece, this is what you would have received.
But it's not hollow, bro. It's not hollow.
This is on eBay.
And
I mean, it's not.
It has to be depth to it to be hollow.
There is no depth to that.
When you tell people, you're like, yo, the AEW replica is on TV, so it's TV, it's the real thing. They go, well, the shop belts have been on TV.
And here's the thing. I know that people are going to look at this and go, oh, they're shitting on people that can't afford it. No, I don't have an issue. This is just me, my opinion. Dan has his own. Ethan has his own. Joey, my opinion is you can buy. I have no issue with you buying whatever it is that you want. My issue is when you start to compare that with higher quality, with replica, with real, with you can't compare that, because what that does is bring misinformation to the hobby. And if we haven't learned anything from the Eddie Williams situation, misinformation is a fucking bad thing. Okay? It really is. I mean, Dan,
look at these. Like, what happened to pride in your work? Like, if you're gonna grow up, if you say, hey, I'm gonna be a counterfeiter, I'm gonna be a bootlegger, let me be the best counterfeiter. Let me make a product so good that people can't distinguish between my copy and the real thing.
Yours, yeah.
And that's flat. Those
when your budget's $40, that's what you get.
Look at that tooling, bro. See that?
Well, you got some people, when they say, "Oh, it's not worth $700." Well, your $250 belt is not worth $250.
Okay, well,
What you paid for it.
here's the thing. If there's people buying this, what incentive does the belt maker have to improve?
None.
0.
Right.
There isn't.
If I can shit on a shingle and get $50 for it,
I'll do it every time.
right. Let's put
Look at
tips
that.
on belts that didn't come with tips.
That's
Oh,
a
is that the
half
half
tip, bro.
Half tip
That's a
as well.
half tip also.
That's a half tip. What's the point? No one's ever told me. What's the point of the half tip? I don't get it. I don't. Does the other side really cost that much?
I don't
more to
know if
put
they
on?
have a whole tip over there.
Well, their budget was $40, so they couldn't,
So Dan, your AEW, and I say yours, and I know Ron has his own words that he has to use for that because I guess he had some comments about it.
It is
But-
not. I don't take any. It was a project that I was asked to make into a reality. I do not take any ownership of the AEW belt. I was responsible for taking the creation of Milliken and Ron or whomever, conveying it into a format that the people at the Replica factory can use and then present to everyone else with a mass-produced product.
So someone said that that belt's probably worth $500. Let's see what $500 actually gets you in the hobby. This is mock belts, AEW World Championship.
You're a liar. Mock belts doesn't ship.
It's true.
So my question to you is: you see that right here, and I got my mouse over it. Can you stab yourself? Like, can't you stab
That's
yourself?
on the other side too.
And
Yeah,
right here too.
It's uniformed at least. Let's give them credit.
Yeah,
Could you, if you were a wrestler, would you be permitted to bring that on an airplane, or would that be confiscated as a weapon?
That's travel. Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
If a wrestler can't travel with it, would you want to travel with it?
But they probably paid $40 for it.
Well, that's the thing, though. If the plates aren't hollow, how heavy is it?
That's true. Again,
if you have a 20-pound bootleg, can you stuff 20 bags of shit into a flat rate box?
Heavy enough to put it down in the first 4 minutes of your show because it's too heavy.
But that's what we're starting to get. You can add all the weight. You can make it heavier. You can add 50 layers. Okay, well, you got to ship it.
20 pounds of shit is still 20 pounds of shit.
And again, you can stab you can literally stab somebody with a damn belt.
Can you fit it in a flat rate box?
Hey, you give Ethan anything.
I mean,
he'll put
no,
anything
you
in
look
the
at those side
there,
plates. They look like the bat wing, like it's like
true. Yeah.
It's a batarang.
Yeah, I mean,
What makes the belt shiny? Is it the spray? Do they use like a spray paint? What is it that makes it gives it that shiny color?
Me personally, all of my leather strap, after I dye it, what we do is called burnish it. What that does is that kind of polishes the top layer, and if there's any excess dye sitting on the surface, it removes it. And then what most people do is they'll put some type of protective top coat. If you're a person who does like holsters and saddles, what you'll do is an oil. Some people do they'll boil linseed oil and dip the belt into it. When we're doing replica wrestling belts, we'll either do some type of clear top coat protectant. So I'll use acrylic Resolene, and I'll dilute it 50-50 with water, and I'll do a few thin coats. That way it's not too shiny. If you use it straight up, it'll have a nice gloss to it. Some people like it. Some people want a little bit of a dull finish. So that's personal preference.
Got a question? Question, Dan?
Yeah.
For your wealth of knowledge. So if you buy a belt, right, and it has a layer of clear coat on it to protect the gold plating, is that actual gold plating? I'm just throwing that out there.
Wait, what do you mean? What do you mean? Wait.
So a lot of these makers that you're showing the belts for, right? They come and you can see bubble wrap marks that are embedded in the belt.
I've seen those, yeah.
So that bubble wrap marks, what they are is they're actually marks that are embedded in the clear coat because they put clear coat on the belt because the plating they use isn't actual gold plating. Right. Because gold costs roughly $60 a gram on the current market right now. Right. So what they do is they spray paint gold paint on it clear coat it,
All right.
and they sell it as 24 karat.
The clear coat is usually some type of acrylic based, and it'll dry to the touch in 24 hours, but it takes 72 hours to cure. So what'll happen is like these belts will be sprayed with whatever clear coat is, and then the next day they'll wrap it in the bubble wrap, stuff it into the box, but it hasn't actually cured yet. So the pressure from the bubble wrap will be embossed into the clear coat. Now, if you ask me as a belt maker, could I put a clear coat over my plates to protect them and to ensure the durability of them? Sure. There is nothing wrong with that. But again, it has to be done in the right way. You have to give it enough time to cure properly. That way you prevent things like this. Personally, I don't do that. What some other people will do too is use pure wax. Pure wax will not only clean a properly gold-plated belt, but it will also, just like it would with your car, add a layer of protection that will...
like turtle wax?
No, you do not want to use any type of wax that has a cleaner in it. Turtle wax and these car cleaners have a detergent in them. So if you apply them to a gold-plated belt, when you polish it off, it'll take the gold off. What you need is pure wax.
Okay. So Dan, this is this is Luke Mon belts. Please, sir, as you know this belt very, please critique if you don't mind.
Okay, so I mean, let's look at the filler. It's just swirl marks, but there's no border around it. Okay, so you don't have to be an expert in belts to know that it isn't accurate. I mean, there's not even stones there. And if you look over at the main plate, let's look at that diamond pattern and let's look at the stones. They're not even aligned, okay? Ooh. So what it tells me is the person who made this is just making a product at the request of they probably got an email and somebody sent them a picture and said, hey, make me a copy of this. My budget is this. The person making this doesn't know a damn thing about belts. They probably make other type of metal goods, and this is like their attempt at it based on the budget they were given. Like there's some bootleggers out there who actually like belts. There are bootleggers out there who have some pride in their work, but either the limitations on the machinery or technology available to them in Pakistan, or just the budget that they're working with as far as what the people want to pay for, are going to severely limit the quality of their end result.
Of course they are. Usman has an AEW World Championship, pays $460.
You mean JB Toys has?
JB Toys has an AEW World Championship, and for some, what's the point of this? Because you know me, I collect figs, but I also have like one or two boots somewhere. But I like quality belts, right?
Right.
And I don't care what people buy. Please don't compare it to the higher ups. It's misinformation. What's the point? And I'm going to ask you questions about the copyright later. But what's the point of putting Usman Championship belts over something that you're basically stealing the copyright for someone else? What's the point of that? I'm
not even looking at that. I'm thinking back to when we talked about our $250,000 machine that does metal injection. All right. Usman could not afford that machine. So what they did is on Black Friday, they went out and they bought a waffle maker from Walmart for $12.99, and they poured a bunch of liquid metal into the waffle maker. And that's how you get the texturized look on those side plates. And I give them credit for the ingenuity of repurposing a waffle maker.
Yeah. So I mean, I had an IWGP US from Usman, and I liked it because of the fact at the time I didn't know, the difference between quality. Carmine knows that. Carmine knows that at one point I thought it was one of the best belts in my collection, because when I first picked it up, you have to understand, Dan, I came from figs. That's all I knew. So when I pick up this flat rate box that he sends me, and it's heavy as hell, I'm like, oh my God, I put it over my shoulder. It's the first belt to ever stay over my shoulder by itself. For what I knew at the time, I thought it was great. and then I saw what it's supposed to look like, what it's supposed to be like, and I sold it back to him actually. But I don't knock anyone who wants to buy this, Dan. I don't, because I'm not someone that thinks about the legality, which I should, but reverse cowgirl is illegal in California, but here we are.
Here's the thing: like, if you're gonna buy a bootleg and your budget is $300, just do some homework. There's gonna be some bootleg makers who make a better quality belt for $300 than others. You just don't. When it comes time to buy a car, you don't buy the car from the first. You don't go in that first dealership and you don't buy that first car.
No.
You shop around. You do some comparison, you do a little bit of homework, and then you make a decision.
And that's where I was when I had, and these guys can tell you, I had that Usman IWGP US, and I thought it was great. Right. I really thought, I had it on a freaking pedestal. I thought, and I'll still hold to that. But then I start learning more. I start seeing
what you're comparing it to.
I am literally not comparing it to anything, because that's the first thing I've ever had.
Anything, this belt is great compared to nothing. Yes. Now, if you give me 50 bootleg versions of a belt, then we have to start putting them into different categories, saying like, this is
different tiers.
Right. Your tier A bootleg, your tier B. Like, I'm going to be like, I'm not even talking from a legal aspect. Copyrights and copyright infringement, intellectual property. I'm not talking about any of that when we discuss these bootleg belts. I'm discussing them purely based on an accuracy point and a value for your price. All right. And you notice, like, as these bootlegs get better, the prices are going higher. So what does that tell you? The more accurate the belt, the more work has to go into it, the better quality you're going to get. But you're paying for that, because it doesn't matter if it's in the United States, it doesn't matter if it's China, it doesn't matter if it's Pakistan, it doesn't matter if it's Canada, it doesn't matter if it's the ass end of, Antarctica. All right. Time is money everywhere around the world. If you want a better product, you're going to pay more money.
Correct. And so Mayan, and here's the thing. I know that one of the things I'm going to kind of spiral off into a little bit the Mayan thing, because this really spoke to me the other day. And I know that, again, the illegality, they're booting belts. But one of the things when I said that I wanted the hobby to die, when I said I saw the humanity in it, was when Kurban Ali was on Culture Shock Live. And these are guys that Eddie would say, these guys don't give a fuck about you. They'll cut your throat as quickly as they can. Mind you, he's stealing money from people at the time. And I'm big in brotherhood. These guys knows I'm big on loyalty. I miss a lot of my friends. I know that Carmine comes like a dick to people, and he is. But when he's not trying to impress the world, when he's not trying to, make himself bigger than what the fuck he is, he's actually one of the most beautiful human beings that I've actually ever met. He just is. And one of the things that I always thought was about brotherhood was, and that's why I miss Carmine at times, I miss the connection that people have to kind of look out for each other. For Mayan, Madassar, that's the one that actually makes the belts and was supposed to be in production with Eddie. He thought he had lost it all when Eddie took thousands of dollars from him. He was going to give up. He's like, I can't recover from this. And what broke me, what made me say, man, there's some fucking hope out there. And I know, again, copyright and everything, but the human moment where Kurban Ali says, no, Madassar, you're not going to, Mudassar, you're not going to do that, Mudassar. You're not going to quit. You're not going to do this, because then the truth is not going to come out. Again, they're dealing in illegal stuff themselves. But that humanity in there trashes everything Eddie said about these people. And again, Eddie had to say them to keep face. But to him to say to him, brother, don't worry. Contact every customer that has paid for a belt, and we're going to make it right. Milliken hasn't done that.
We get jaded, though, because we get jaded, though, in that fact that this is hobby for us. This is livelihood for them.
Right.
So.
Yeah. What happened is, Classic Shield's been doing this for a long time. And I'm not even talking about belts, just
100 years. They said they've been
right.
over 100 years.
Like,
yeah.
So we know how the economy is over there. We know people are struggling and people are starving, and the Classic Shields guys have stepped up their game, and people see them living a really good life. And that part of Pakistan, it's not a big area. All these guys know each other. All right. So that's why you're getting so many people just jumping into belts, because they're seeing how successful Classic Shields is, and if they can get there's more than enough business for everyone, and that even goes for the real belt makers. So, people, I'm friendly with Andrew of Wildcat. I'm friendly with Randy at Top Rope. Okay, I try to be friendly with everyone, and then there's sometimes I'm gonna have disagreements with people, but there is more than enough real business for all of us belt makers in the States, and there's more than enough business for all those guys in Pakistan. Now, I just wish that what these guys would do is focus on going after independent companies, because everybody is sick of seeing people use replicas with stickers on them on an independent show.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you get these companies in Pakistan who's like, hey, for the price of a WWE replica belt, I can make you 100% custom belt with your logo, with whatever wording you want, and I'll have it to you. What are these guys delivering in a few weeks, a few months?
3 months.
3 months. All right. There's probably 30 middlemen watching this video right now. Somebody wants to put their big boy pants on. Contact all of these independent companies. Don't offer them a Winged Eagle copy. Don't offer them a Reggie IC copy. Say, I got a guy who can make you 100% custom belt. Your independent company will be the only company that uses this design. You get 1, you get 2, you get 3. You're going to start sticking out from the crowd. You're going to get more business. Your belt maker is going to get more business. They're going to have more money. They have more money. They reinvest that in the product. They get better machines. You get better quality belts. That's how you build a business.
Yeah. And I do have to say, I always tell people to go shop. I have to. I always think that it's going to spoil you in the plates. It's going to spoil you in the way it's supposed to look, not the way it's going to feel, right? In the way it's supposed to look, you're going to get spoiled. And then if you want to go the bootleg route, I personally don't like bootlegging belts that are available for me to buy. That's just my personal thing. But I find that a lot of people, you said a long time ago, and my sister brought this up the other day when we were speaking. She said, it feels like it's never, Dan was right when I saw this, is what she says. Dan was right when I saw this. It's never going to be enough. WWE pulled out the dual-plated Winged Eagle. They covered the back. They attached the bars. And still, you get people ragging on it. It's never going to be enough.
No.
And I think that you guys have tried to put out a really good replica. I can't wait till it's available to buy. And I'm actually going to purchase it. Will I get it re-leathered? No, because again, the way it looks to me, I don't care. I that's all I care about. I put the belt down and I don't pick it up unless I have to shoot a promo for the show or I'm cleaning it, But there are other people like Ethan who wants to sit down and watch with it, or Joey who wants to feel how all these. I don't do that. I'm okay with just sitting and it's done with.
Right.
So then I really do appreciate you coming here, Joey. Last thoughts for the show tonight. What you got?
I want to ask Dan this because he talked about like people with WWE now that are belt marks just like us. With these belt marks, do you see them saying like, hey, if we put the WWF logo on these belts, we could sell a lot more, or no?
No. We're going to have to wait till Vince
sells.
Takes a step back.
Yeah.
No, not necessarily sell, right? Everybody thinks WWE's selling. I don't think they're selling. Okay, what if everyone noticed the rollout of the WWE network to Peacock? That has been an abysmal failure. People should lose their jobs based on the migration from WWE network to
It's
Peacock.
fucking horrible.
Well, but Peacock was trash. What they should have did was took the WWE network, slapped the Peacock logo on it, and just rolled it out like that.
Yeah,
Leave
because
it as
trying to
is.
find stuff on there, like they have like
Oh, it's a pain in the ass.
they have like
Peacock sells itself based on The Office.
Yeah.
Purely.
Hey,
itself.
this
That's
man
how
knows what he's talking
it
about.
sells
Well,
itself. Okay.
well, like you're trying to
What-
find a WrestleMania, it's easy, you know. Hey, 24 season. Okay, that's WrestleMania 24. You're trying to find like Royal Rumble, like season 30. Like you're like, which okay.
Mhm. And not everything's been migrated. Okay, so this is what I think is going to happen. My personal opinion. I don't think WWE is looking to sell. WWE's inflating the books by releasing all of these high-paid talents and doing this and that. And what's going to happen? That Peacock deal is up, I want to say, in 2024. Okay, and what they're doing is they want a bidding war between Disney and between Apple Plus to purchase the network. Okay, in 2 years, WWE Network is not going to be on Peacock. It's either going to be on Disney Plus or it's going to be on Apple Plus. And what they're doing is they're trying to make the books look good because people who don't know wrestling are about to going to get in the wrestling business, and they're going to try to make the most of that money. And then after that sale of the WWE Network rights, that's when we're going to see Vince take a step back.
If it goes on Disney, I could see them raising the prices because ESPN just raised the UFC prices, and that wasn't a UFC move; it was a ESPN move.
Right. Well, I'm one of those people. I got the package deal with Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN.
ESPN.
And like, I tried using ESPN Plus once, and I've never been able to get it work. I don't touch ESPN Plus. All right, let's go through these comments quick because there's a lot of good comments out there. All right, Tony, the Game Changer belts are made in Pakistan. All right, Game Changer belts are made by a company called Hyperion. I think the plates are Pakistani, but like all the guys are American side. Listen, not every company has a budget, but the Game Changer belts are unique design, so it doesn't matter if they get them in Pakistan. All right. Let's see Dan Casper's comment about doing his stuff with Muzi or Muzzy. All right. What I wish you guys would do is just stop using established belt design. There's 500 independent companies in the United States using a Winged Eagle or Red GIC.
Oh,
right?
really? What do? Do they slap like a sticker of their company on it?
It's the same design, and like every company puts their own logo on it. All right.
Okay.
My challenge to all of these middlemen is push unique designs, push designs that aren't used as much. Stay away from the Reggie Parks designs. Not necessarily like saying that because of legality stuff, intellectual property stuff. I'm just saying, like, have some creativity. Like, there's no fun in selling 500 variations of a Winged Eagle week after week. All right, create something new. Throw the people's logos on it. Make them make them want to buy the belt. They make your customer want to purchase the belt from you. You shouldn't be having to work so hard to sell them on the belt. Okay, it's kind of tough to understand what I'm saying is, but as a middleman, you need to create that sense of exclusivity where if this company doesn't buy from you, they're missing out on something. They don't know what it is yet, but you need to instill that into them. That's like, I got a feeling about this person. I know they know their business. I know they know the product. If we don't buy from them, we're going to regret it. Okay?
Yeah.
So go work on custom art. Sell the custom art. Doesn't matter if the belt maker is making it for $200. All right? I don't care. No. I don't care about that and stuff. All of these guys in Pakistan can make a killing if we just got them to go the route of custom art instead of taking the easy road and just taking bootleg Winged Eagle, bootleg IC Art, and slapping a different logo on it.
A logo on it, yeah. Jake, AEW has not finished. CS has not finished in AEW. So if we're on here, we will be discussing it, but they have not finished it. I'm hoping Dan can come back. Dan, would you be willing to come back for the AEW episode? I mean, for the Winged Eagle episode next month?
Yeah, I love when you guys have me on because I just want to talk about belts. I just want to help people learn and educate. And like you talked about it before, we're like, belt talk can be a shit mess sometimes. The forums can be a shit mess. Facebook can be a shit mess. And it's like, I'm one person. I have so many cycles in a day, and sometimes I have a family. I have 3 kids. I'm about to move. I got a business. I teach MMA. Like, I can only do so much in a day, and like, there's only like.
Hold on, Jake. CS is the best belt maker out there in overseas. Period. Point blank. So if you want to troll, we can do that too, bro. I got no problem with that. I'll fucking take that fight any day of the week. So
here's the thing. I have challenged Dan. I have actually challenged.
Let's go, bro. I'll go pull 8 CSs out of the case right now and fucking and smoke your ass, bro.
You don't know you can't walk over there right now. Stop. Listen. This is what I think, Ethan. Ethan is here, and because Ethan's been in these chats with me, and all you hear is crickets. When I say I challenge any middleman, any maker, to send me their middleman's Classic Shields Winged Eagle, because I know I can hawk one from Ethan or Vinny and send it to me. And if yours is better, I will give you the Masters.
Here.
The Masters.
You show me any $250 belt that's better than this fucking Classic Shields Intercontinental, and I'll send it to you for free.
Hey, don't challenge Dan. But here's the thing.
No, I didn't say Dan. I said $250 belt.
So I really, this is a very informative podcast. Hey, Matt, we love you, man. Oh shit, Dan's grabbing the belt. Hold on, we need to chill.
I want that UFC super fight behind the FTW. You could send me that one.
Let's see what he has.
Oh, he's got the mini.
There you.
You said 250, right?
There you go.
This has got like Peruvian rupees in it that you can only get from a Mayan temple.
Wait, so if your AEW cost you $40 to produce, that thing was like 12 cents.
Hold on a second, Hunter. Here's the thing: there are videos of that AEW, but are there videos of actual someone in the hobby actually having them in hand, doing actually something with it? Nothing but love for Dan. Balor fan loves you, Dan. And so, Dan, we will have you back on the 25th of February. If I got that wrong, Mike Jones will correct us after for the Winged Eagle episode. Mike Jones, yeah, we're gonna. Dan, you and I need to sit down one-on-one and have a conversation. So we're gonna do that for the Winged Eagle.
Is it for the Winged Eagle? Go and watch the episode that just dropped from ad-free shows. All right, Shane had a lot of interest on it, and Carmine's production right now is second to none. Like, guys, just instead of buying a coffee from Starbucks for a week, get like a 1-month subscription to the ad-free shows. Watch that Winged Eagle episode. All right, that's to be like prerequisite viewing for the next episode.
There he is. So, Dan, thank you so much for coming on. Ethan, I didn't skip you. Final thoughts. Hit me, baby.
No, final thoughts is like, look, this is our attempt to get people to understand that, people like to spout off. I name drop because like I'll go in this chat and tell Carmine in 10 minutes what I think, and he knows what I think. Carmine likes to spout off in the mouth. Carmine is a dick, and I tell him he's a dick all the time, but he's a dick that is understandably a guy you can talk to and have a conversation with. So if you have a problem with Carmine, Joe, send him a PM, because you know what? He'll never EW you and block you and anything like that. But as far as
I'll block you, because fuck that. You don't pay my
Jay bills. Is Captain Blocker.
You don't pay
I've learned it from him. I've learned it from Jay.
Mr. McMahon, your final thoughts for this episode of Cultures of Get the Strap.
Well, obviously, big thank you to you guys for continuing to have me here, because apparently people like me even though they don't want to like me. And
You'll never get booted from here, bro.
right.
Never.
Here's the thing. Like, I am who I am. I'm flawed, but I'm me. I'm genuine. If you don't like me, come at me. Let's talk. Let's work it out. You still don't have to like me, but just understand where I'm coming from. I'm here to help people that, like, I care about this hobby more than people ever gonna understand. So at the end of the day, like, let's just work it out. Like, there's some people out there I don't hate. I don't know what I did to them and they're really mad at me, but like, the whole point of like me doing these shows is to try to help people learn about belts. And maybe by like the way I can help you learn and instruct and teach and open your mind to new things, maybe you'll think better of me. But at the end of the day, this isn't about me. This is about the belts. So keep it on. Right?
He is right. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming on. We will be back on the 25th of February. Gentlemen, please let me address the people. Guys, since I started the show, I've always said we are adults and we can coexist and we can have conversation. I've never been a person. I know I'm perceived to be someone that thinks that he knows it all, that he is better than everybody, that Jay's God's gift. That's not who I am. My friends know that I am my biggest critic. Everything that you see on this show does not come from the great mind of Jay Cross. I'm actually the weakest link out of the five of us. Everything that you see here, it comes from the mind of Mike Jones. And Vinny Vegas makes it run so smoothly. All the knowledge that you get, everything that you hear me spout out comes from the great minds of Ethan Thompson, Joseph Atanza. I am humbled beyond belief that I could have been able to have Dan McMahon on here with me to explain the things that go on, because facts matter. If you don't have facts, you end up with the Eddie Williams of the world, with the Josh Hammers of the world, glorified people in the hobby who have no concept of what a belt is. Yet you have a man like Dan McMahon come on and tell you how a replica, the belt that you always thought of grabbing, is actually made. These facts are important. And I always make sure to say that, because there are a lot of people who go on lives and tell you everything that you want to hear, and they give you nothing back. And that's not what we do. No one here is trying to sell you a belt other than Dan. He sells belts, but not belts that are $250. If you're going to get a belt from Dan, you're investing money. We will see you next month, February 25th, where we're going to go over the Winged Eagle. Thank you so much for watching. I am very humbled that you all sat through this and watched us go through it. Thank you so much. And again, one more time, I beg you to do better as a hobby, because the next time that we have an Eddie Williams, like I said a few months ago, we won't have a hobby to come back to. Thank you so much. Take care. And remember, peace in our time.